Studying the case of Chris Watts presents peculiar complications due to the lack of trial in the plea deal signed by Chris. Special Agent Tammy Lee from CBI said herself, "Whoa, wait, like we're not done. We have all these things to do. We didn't examine all the evidence. We didn't interview every witness we needed to. We didn't do all the things that you do in a normal investigation because he stopped the clock." We were relieved that it was going to be over, but at the same time, we felt like, in a sense, we didn't finish. While trying to comprehend such a complex case, it is important to develop an understanding of Shanann and Chris's background. And since Shanann Watts had such a social media presence, it was easy to start to build a timeline. Even after the public was given the discovery files and we dug through all the police interviews and notes, things still weren't making sense. The case started to look like a Rubik's Cube. As fast as this story blew up in the media, it died away once that plea deal was signed, and many of us just want to know why.
Mr. Watts, why did you kill your wife and 2 children?
Shanann Catherine Rusek was born January 10th, 1984 in New Jersey to Frank Rusek and Sandra Ornerati Rusek. A quote from her parents in her obituary states, "She was our pride and joy, a true gift from God. We were so blessed to have such a joyful and wonderful daughter whose beauty was that of a doll." She grew up in Moore County in North Carolina and attended Pinecrest High School.
Positive person. Like, she was so positive all the time. Like, she definitely enjoyed life. She loved her little girls more than life itself.
She was just one of those people where if you were upset and you needed to talk, you could call her. If you were excited about something, you could call her. Definitely that person. She was an amazing cook. She was made to be a mother, so you could tell just they were her life.
She's a hard worker. She ain't a slack person. She's been like that ever since she was 16. Always work.
Shanann has a younger brother named Frankie Jr.
And her and my mom butt heads a lot, so she's like, man, how do you deal with this? I'm like, hey, I gotta do what I gotta do. I lived out there I moved out there when she first had Bella, and
You moved to Colorado?
Yeah.
Okay.
And back, it was like July 1st, and what's weird is I think I actually came home on August 13th. It's gotta be around that day, because remember, it was only like, 40-something days. I remember counting the days, because trying to, make it out there and make her happy, and we were having so much fun. And she was like, take care of me like a mom, you know? And whether she wanted to believe it or not, she's like my mom times 10.
I was never the smartest kid on the block. I was not Chris is a book smart person. He reads something one time and he's like, it's memorized. Me, on the other hand, I was the one staying up to 2 o'clock in the morning studying and still struggling. I'm a horrible test taker. I can know all the answers, but put that test in front of me and I bomb it. I've always struggled, through school. I've always, a lot of things, like insecurities, all of it played. I think he played a huge role in my everything. So, but then the thing about me that is different than just different about me is I've never given up. A lot of you know my part of my story, health challenges, bad relationships, things that could have knocked somebody down completely hardcore. But the thing is I believe that everything in life happens for a reason, and I also believe people are placed in our life for a reason. And I remember when I went through something major in my life, good relationship, gone bad, and I remember coming out feeling the weakest I've ever felt in my life. Like I was no good, I wasn't good enough. My insecurities got deeper, stronger, and I felt like I was not worthy. I've met so many people in my life that have helped me through all of that, helped me build my confidence, helped me. You just have to surround yourself with people that want better for you, just like they do for themselves. Like, you're on top of the world when you have people that you surround yourself with that make you better. Like, they don't bring the bad out of you, they bring the good out of you. And from that point on, I fought like hell. I worked my tail off. I busted my butt. I was never a big dreamer, so to think, because my insecurities brought me down. But I remember when I was single for a long time, and my goal was to buy a house. I was tired of paying someone else's mortgage because, that's what you do when you rent. And I wanted to buy a house. And I wanted to buy a house that I could resell one day and make a profit off of. And so I worked and worked and worked and worked. I lost a lot of friends because a lot of my friends were still young. We were still young. And I was 25 years old when I built my first house. My family doesn't come from money. We always worked hard for what we had. And I did. I bought my first house at 25 years old. And that was the biggest accomplishment I felt I've ever done because I did it by myself. I did it by working my tail off for it. And I had that to show for it,
Because the house in Colorado, in Charlotte, she built was actually bigger than this house. And it was only her, and she did this all on her own. And then she sold that house, didn't make much off it.
Shanann met Chris Watts in 2010. Chris and Shanann married on November 3rd, 2012 in North Carolina. Here we can listen to Chris and Shanann both describe what it was like when they met each other in 2010. You'll see photos of the couple early on in their relationship, full of excitement and hope for their future, not knowing the bumps in the road that lay ahead.
When we first met, it was at a movie theater. My cousin's ex-wife set us up. It's kind of like I've never been pursued by anybody before. It's kind of like I was the one, trying to pursue. Because when me and Shanann met, it was she was always pushing me away, kind of she had just got diagnosed with lupus and she was on a bunch of different medications and stuff. It was I guess I was one of her type. I was persistent trying to pursue something. I liked her, and even on our first date, I couldn't even eat anything really. She was just chowing down. And she was like, "You eat like a bird." I'm like, and she talked to my parents months later. She was like, "This guy just never ate." He's like, "This guy eats like a trash at school." I was like, "No, not around me." I was like, "Well, I'm just nervous." I was just I was always shaking and everything. But yeah, I was always pursuing her, and then just finally I grew onto her. I would always with her medications and stuff, I would always she had 8 bottles of medications, so I would always get her day and nights and kind of put them all in that little flip open box, all that kind of stuff. And I would always be around her. I even went to her colonoscopy. She said after that she knew that was kind of a keeper. It's who goes to a colonoscopy after 3 months with somebody? It was a great relationship. Everything was great. First year, my parents never. I don't know. My mom was always kind of hesitant. Why? I was the baby, I guess. I never, I never had a girlfriend in high school. Nothing more than 6 months or so. There was some girls here and there, but just nothing more than the last girlfriend I had before Shanann, she would just actually got divorced, and I should never did that. But it was more of I was kind of helping her get through her divorce. It seemed like she went on to somebody else. I'm like, oh.
How old were you when you met Shanann?
I was 25. It was 2010, so I'm more of the just reserved. I just kind of go with the flow type. Yeah. But then Shanann usually made all the decisions. It seemed like so. I just always felt nervous. I never could actually just be myself. Nikki, I was myself all the time. It was just different.
Then I met Chris. I met Chris because of those health challenges. My friend sent me a friend suggestion for him. It was actually his cousin's wife. I deleted it. I was like, I'm not interested. I don't want to meet a guy. Bye-bye. I was diagnosed 2 months later, and I went through one of the, I would say, darkest times of my life because things just got scarier, worse. I thought my life was crumbling underneath me, and I didn't know which way to turn. I didn't have a lot of friends at the time. The friends I did have, I lost because they didn't understand that I looked perfectly fine, and I felt horribly inside, horribly. In the part where I gave up on everything, I quit my job. It was kind of temporarily, but kind of quit my job of 9 years. I just said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. You don't understand me. You don't understand what's going on in my life, and I quit. And I got a friend request from Chris. I was in a really, really, really bad place. And I got a friend request from Chris on Facebook. And I was like, oh, what the heck? I'm never going to meet him. Except, well, one thing led to another. And 8 years later, we have 2 kids. We live in Colorado. And he's the best thing that has ever happened to me. And because of my health challenges, because I got so sick, I let him in. And he only knew me at that time. He knew me at my worst. And he accepted me. And, you know, through your vows, like through sickness and everything, he's been there. He was the one that let me lay on him and fall asleep for 3.5 hours on his lap while he had to pee. He is the best thing that has ever happened to me. So with that being said, there's a reason for everything. We may not understand it at the time. It's hard to understand it at the time. I'm telling you, when I met Chris, I pushed him away. I gave every excuse for him to run. I mean, I gave him an out every single day. I gave him an out. And if you guys know my story with Chris, you know I gave him an out. I mean, he went to my colonoscopy. I tortured him. I rejected him. I pushed him away time and time again. But when I canceled dates last minute, because that's how life is with my health challenges, and it's hard for people to get, it's hard for me to understand, but he stuck around. And he stuck around because he was the one for me. And I can't tell you how wonderful he is.
In 2011, I proposed to her over in Ocean Isle Beach. That was around our anniversary, and I did a ride there on the beach at night, and I could tell, I mean, she was extremely tired, and I was like, I just want to do this, I want to do today. And she knew, so why are you being so, persistent to get me, out here right now? I was like, oh, let's go out to the beach, it's a nice night. Proposed to her on the beach, said yes, and everybody was ecstatic and everything, and she's very organized. She's OCD about organization, putting things like we saw the pantry. Everything was just named in a container all the way down. It's very easy for, if you just came into our house, you would know what stuff was. You would know where everything was. It would be easy. I met Shanann in 2010. She lived in Belmont at the time.
Chris's mom really never got along with Shannon because she took her son away from him. That's how we took it. They didn't come to her wedding, their engagement party. They didn't come to nothing to theirs. She had all these diseases, and she said to us one time, she said, Mom and Dad, my head was hurting me so bad that I fell asleep on his lap. He was rubbing my head, and he stayed there for hours with me. Didn't even move, didn't even bother to get up, just let me stay there, So, they met in North Carolina, and then they got married out there. And then they moved out here through one of her friends that said that the weather out here was better. She came out here to visit, and then they moved out here, which, of course, we didn't like that.
Right.
It was so far away.
Right. So, is that the reason they moved out here? Is because the weather was better for her medical conditions?
Yes.
Okay.
When Chris and Shanann both arrived in Colorado, they worked at the same car dealership together. After the case broke, the man who hired them spoke out to the media. He said he was very passive. She was very aggressive with him, bossy, do this, do that, telling him what to do, dominating the relationship. That I do know.
He was a great father. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better father for him, for the kids. I mean, honestly, he did everything for them. Played with them, bathed them. I couldn't ask for someone better. Husband-wise, same way. Never seen any kind of problems with him.
He went from being the best guy I could ever picture for my sister to guy could care less what happens to him.
Yeah.
I hugged him a week ago. Said, "Thanks, man. Thanks for everything. I'll see you." And he helped me with my brakes on my truck. He's a very smart mechanic. He was trying to help me with them, and he's giving me advice with them and things. It was just so mind blowing. I don't know. I could never see him hurting my sister, let alone like smacking her. I've never even heard her yell, get loud, curse. I mean, seriously, like,
You never heard
unbelievable.
any
No,
violence between them?
At our wedding, I'm crying, thanking God for him being in my sister's life.
Yeah.
They never fought, never did anything, never argued. And he's just one of those yes man, you know. He was in love with her. That's why he was in love.
After building their house in Colorado and having their 2 girls, in 2015, the Watts filed for bankruptcy.
We're looking into the family's past. They did declare bankruptcy in 2015. They were about $400,000 in debt.
Don't get me wrong, I have my bad days. I have my off days. We all do. We're human, right? But on those days, I choose to do something that will bring me up, whether it's reading a book or reading a quote or reading something, finding something positive to read.
I told him a few times, you should take the time to read some articles about what separation does to kids. And I was like, I think you guys should just read about it. Just read. Like, that's what I always used to tell him. I'd always tell him to, like, I tell people to read about everything. Reading is so good for you.
Because I'm choosing to be better in life. And I choose happiness. I choose drama-free life. I want a drama-free life. Oh my gosh. Colorado makes me feel like it's drama-free life because Colorado is just amazing. But that's how I feel. I feel at peace here in Colorado. And everyone wonders why we moved to Colorado because I do. I feel at peace here. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to describe it. I just feel, I feel at home, if that makes sense at all. Yeah. Life happens. So sometimes we feel like life's attacking us, and when we do, we have to sit back and look at the big picture. And it may not be something right away. It may be, if it's happening to you right now, you may not see the big picture. You may not see it until 6 months down the road, or what the connection is. But when you do, it's gonna all make sense. And I was told I couldn't have kids, you know, and here I have 2 amazing, crazy, wild children. I love dearly.
Bella, because of Italian means beautiful. Marie, mom's middle name. Celeste is her grandmother's name. Catherine's parents' middle name.
Bella Marie Watts was born December 17, 2013 in Colorado. Shanann was so excited to have her first baby girl. She spent every minute thanking God and taking care of her precious gift that the Lord had blessed her with. How she loved and cherished her. Shanann's Facebook posts allowed many of us to get to know each of the girls more closely and shared many details on their day-to-day tasks and their personalities. Here are just a few on Bella. I hate waking Sleeping Beauty. She's always so peaceful. She knows her nap times like clockwork. Out shopping or not, worn out princess. Chris is in trouble. Hand on the hip just like her mommy. It also appears that Bella got food poisoning on her first birthday.
Peas in a pod. Like, Celeste is more than rambunctious, just like all out. She either goes or she's sleeping type thing. So she's always getting in trouble, always like trying to find something to climb, jump off of. Bella's more like me. She's more of the calm, just like she's cautious type thing.
In my room, actually my office, it's a mess. And I'm cleaning while the kids are sleeping and going through some things, a lot of memories in my office. It's kind of where I keep a little bit of everything from, you know, the kids as they grow up and stuff like that. And I see this picture of me as a baby, and it is totally Cece. And then I see Bella too at times.
Celeste Catherine Watts was born July 17, 2015 in Colorado. Oh, how Shanann was so excited to be able to have another child because of her battle with lupus. She was determined to stay healthy with her love for her Celeste. Every moment with her was a blessing.
Did you ever have any problems with the pregnancies with Bella and Celeste?
Bella, she had, I don't think she had, she may have had a little bit of a, you know, whatever normal pregnancy, but Celeste, she did have more pain. She had different things with Bella. Celeste, Sorry, I'm not
that's
a woman, so I don't know all the medical terms for what they had. But I know she had problems. That's why we were worried about her having a third one.
Oh, I say, here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Ooh, ooh. All right, she's done.
After the bankruptcy in 2015, Shanann decided to try a new career path. She had been working at a call center at a children's hospital, but decided to try an MLM called Lavelle and became an independent representative for the company. It sells Thrive health and wellness products.
Shanann.
Shanann?
Shanann.
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 On Facebook, Shanann was thrilled to share her Thrive experience with her family and even spoke on how her mother-in-law was the biggest skeptic of Shanann's new career choice in the Lavelle MLM. She wrote, "So excited to welcome my mother-in-law Cindy to our Lavelle family. She was my biggest skeptic, and now she's been thriving over 2 months and can't live without it."
Supplement stuff, just because it worked with her, it worked with me. She's like, okay, I can kind of like use this as like, all right, this is what it's doing for us.
Yeah.
And then like after a little while, like she could see how like people are above her, how it was helping them, and then it was just like trickle down effect. There was like a good system about like, commission wise and everything was just, she could use all the business IQ she has from running those cell phone shops and from the Dirty South custom shops, all that. I mean, she's business minded. Yeah. She knows how to do accounting with it, like in the back of her hand. So there's always points like in a marriage where like, the dominant person like, takes control of everything. But like, I was just, my whole life, I just kind of went with the flow. Like, I never like put myself in the center of attention. I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be in the back row. If she did belittle me, I couldn't pick an exact point or time.
She never really felt that way, right?
No, I mean, I always knew I was like, the introvert, and she was the, she took control of most situations. Like when people came over, like, I knew what my role was. I hated being in videos. I did it because it was for her business and stuff. But like it was, I hated just being out for everybody to see. That's why like the whole like the gender reveal thing, I was just like, I didn't want it to be like some live Facebook video. I'm just like, no. But like I never wanted to be out there. It's like she put me underneath her, and that like anything like any of my friends or stuff, like anything I do would help her. So it was just, I would send her pictures. Like I'd take a picture with your patch. I'm like, okay, send it to her, and then she'd make a post about it. She was like, I need to take more control over like your business and stuff. I'm just like, I don't know what to talk about. Like if I wanted to talk to somebody at the mall or at the pool or somebody about this, I just stumble all over my words and just like they'd be like, okay, bye. But I'm not a salesman. Jesus, I mean, she could sell everything you're wearing back to you. You even know it. Like, wait, I just paid $20 for this shirt. I paid $20 for it. Yeah, those videos were not me. I did it just to support her.
Could you say, I don't want to be in that video? Or was that an option?
Probably not an option. I mean, it's like, she would have been like, oh, why? This is to, help our family. This is for, to help this and that. So I couldn't have told her no. I mean, it would have made her mad. I would have been like, no. I wouldn't want to start that. It's because it's for the business. It's for the family. I was just going to try to help out wherever I can.
That right there is why I will continue what I do. I will continue fighting. I will continue not letting the haters get in my way. I will continue not letting people discourage me. I will continue not letting people judge me or what I do. I will continue not letting people influence my decisions on what I do in life. I will continue fighting for my children, for my husband, for myself. And nobody's going to hold me back from my future, my kids' future. No one's going to tell me what's the right way of living life, and no one's going to tell me what's the what I should and shouldn't do for a job. Like, if I'm bringing in income and I'm taking care of my family, I'm being a better mom than I've ever been because I am here.
Through the Facebook live streams, it's obvious that Chris was the more passive of the two personalities. But we've seen how opposites attract, so why would this case be any different?
I gotta be quiet because the kids are in bed. They went to bed at 6:30, and I made Chris go down to the post office or the mailbox because it said it was delivered, and I had to open it. And sure enough, hold on, I'll bring you guys over. You gotta check this out. It's here. Look. Hold on. Do you want to get a cup?
Got Dieter here. He's not leaving us alone. What's up, babe? Say hi. Look, there's Dieter. It's really cool packaging they got too. I like it.
Don't mind me, guys. I'm in my pajamas already because it's bedtime.
It smells good.
Smell that.
That's
I
good.
love green mint ice cream. It's my absolute favorite. And it's not just mint ice cream. It has to be green mint because, yeah, I'm weird like that. And all you do is shake, shake, shake. Kids are down. They're going to be jealous because, yeah.
They love candy cane.
I'm only going to give Chris a little bit because I don't think I'm going to want to share this. Ready? Here it goes.
Oh, yeah. She's gonna love
It's just like mint ice cream. This is probably my new favorite. Like,
Oh, wow.
this. Hold on.
Uh-oh. What are you trying? Oh.
Cafe. Oh my goodness, it's going to be amazing. Oh, Chris, that stinks.
Are you talking to me?
No, different Chris. There's a lot of Chris's. And he won't move. He's just delaying the inevitable.
Those my words.
Yes, you are. See ya, dude. One more spot. He's totally taking the L. Might as well. We've been sitting here for 10 minutes while he
Moves back and forth.
didn't want to lose. Pretty good game there, bud. Long game. Longer than necessary. Kelly said accept defeat.
I've accepted it.
He's accepted it. She's laughing at you. He lost. I win. Well, Kelly, come visit us. And I need that baby. Before he's a toddler and I don't want him anymore.
But before he can walk.
Yes, Kelly. And kick Chris's butt in checkers.
That's true. We'll just play cornhole. I'm a little better at throwing stuff.
Hey. Chris lost at checkers. And
Horribly.
sucks. So we're gonna go finish our day without the kids. We gotta pick them up in a couple hours, so talk to you guys later. Bye. We're sitting there playing with Daddy with jewelry because that's what they love. And just feel blessed that we can do that. We can travel the world. One day Chris can travel that long with us. But just to be the time freedom with my family, my kids, to enjoy them and not have to worry, you know? You know, I used to not be able to take time off for vacations because all my time off was because my kids were sick. And when the kids are sick, that's priority over vacation. Now I can do both.
Shanann wanted one more child, praying for a baby boy. She named him Nico Lee. With the anticipation of her son to join them, she knew he would be loved by his sisters and family.
We did it again. I like that shirt. So pink means...
That's just the test.
I know. It just says the pink is going to be girls.
I don't know. Just the test.
That's awesome. Guess when you want to, it happens.
She was glowing. They were excited.
When we had talked about it, like a couple weeks, it happened fast. Like with Bella, it was like we almost gave up trying. And then she bought me like a supercharger for my car. And then with Cece, it was like we had to try. And then finally, but with Nico, it was, once or twice. And then like 2 weeks later, she's pregnant. It was more of like surprise, scared. I'm like, wait, what? We just talked about this. Like, people have brought up the fact like, oh, she was probably pregnant before. Like, you guys even talked about it. I'm just like, it's not, no. But like, it was insanely fast. I give it that. Like, that's the only reason I ever gave that notion, like, even the moment of thought, because it was like faster than any other time that she'd gotten pregnant. I don't remember the video much. I know she was wearing like a "Oops, we did it again" shirt, I think, and I was walking up with my cooler or something. And I don't remember like my actual like reaction, like watching the video, but like I could see her eyes. You could see like didn't seem like he was jumping for joy type. Did you watch the one of when I found out about Cece?
Oh,
okay. Yeah, it was Bella was in the crib and it had an eviction notice. I picked up Bella and spun her around and whatnot. This time it was just me and Shanann, and she was in the kitchen.
What in the world? You gotta be kidding me. She's been hiding this from me, Bella? Has she been hiding this from me? Where's she at, Bella? Oh, she's been hiding this from me, Bella. Has she been hiding this from me? Has she been hiding this from me? Oh, you're gonna have a little brother or sister? You think so? Fuck. July baby? A July baby? Where's she at?
Right here.
What? Awesome.
She loved her kids. Loved her more than anything in this world. She wasn't even supposed to have kids. She had lupus. They told her she would never have kids. She almost had endometriosis when she was young. She had so many scares, and that's all she ever wanted was kids. I don't know half the picture she's got with kids on her hips, all growing up. She just wanted to be a mom, and once she found out she was pregnant, it was crazy. Everyone's freaking out. I couldn't believe it, and my parents, they all flew out. I wish I could have came. And they found out about Cece, and I was like, this is crazy, And then when she found out she was pregnant again, I was like, oh boy, this is a boy this time. I know it. I had a feeling. My mom did that little test with the needle and the string.
Yeah.
And it said boy, and I was like,
really?
oh, this is gonna be cool,
Bella, say hi. And I really love the fact that careful, Cece, there's a table there.
No, Cece. Go back.
Child. Yeah, day in the life with Cece. Don't steal Cece's food or her spot because she'll let you know. Right, Cece? Right?
Daddy?
Bella was just like Chris. Just like him, shy, cautious, conservative.
I was out here prior to the 6 weeks she was here. I don't know the exact date before they both went on the vacation with her Thrive company and watched the kids. There was a little bit of difference in him, but I just took it as being a father. I mean, he was getting a little sterner with the girls. I mean, it was nothing. He was always the quiet type with them. But he started getting a little sterner with them, and I just took it as being a father. Now he's getting a little bit tired of what they're doing, running them all over, so he's just getting stern with them. Never hit him that I know of. It's hard. There's different things that was going on. I mean, he did change his, they were going through this new Thrive stuff she was selling, and he started getting himself all built up and lost a lot of weight. But he was always a body type person, always took care of his body and all that.
How exciting is it, Nikki? So exciting that I can't talk. She's been working for over a year. Finally decided last month that she was gonna go full-time working the business, and within a month she hit 12K. I hate you, but I love you. There's a lot of hearts on you right now. I won't tell you how many people are watching. You want to say anything?
Great job, Nikki. It's going to be nothing but Lavelle getaways and auto bonuses from here on out.
And I'm even proud. I love you. I love you too.
Especially like the Duo, the Burn. Like the Apple Watches. Like if you look on it, like when it tells you to exercise, it says I was exercising like all day. Because my heart rate was like up just from those patches. They just have something, they had something in them. I mean, the black label ones, the longer black ones, those had caffeine in them, but it never had that effect. I mean, the duo burn ones, the ones that are more of like the fat loss type, it felt like I was working out all day, even though I wasn't. I mean, I know at some points even Nikki said that, like, I'd fall asleep on the couch, on her couch while I was talking to her, and then like pick back up like I never knew I fell asleep, which I don't know if it was like an insomnia thing or what, but like I wasn't sleeping much. Yeah, but that was the only patches I really felt like a real big difference on, just because it felt like I was working out all day.
You don't feel like they changed your personality or anything like that, though, or do you?
I don't really know. I know that I just felt different on those than any other patch. I feel like I could just go longer and longer each day. And I'm not sure like if that was probably a bad thing, because I don't think I was probably sleeping more than 3 hours a night.
We're not promised tomorrow, We're not promised anything, but to be able to enjoy our children, I'm not gonna lie, my kids are crazy, but I love them, and I love the fact that I can be there for them. Bella knows that mommy doesn't go into work, so when mommy leaves the house without them, it's foreign to her. We go everywhere together, and we do everything together, and that's what she's used to. And just creating that legacy, like the things that you want to be the example. You don't want to tell your kids what to do. You want to show them, and I feel like I'm able to show them how to be strong, how to work hard, how to be confident. I mean, I'm by far a confident person, but I'm more confident than I ever been in my life. And I want to be able to show that to my girls. Like, Bella walks around very shy. She has a mixture of myself and Chris in her. Like, she's an introvert, but she's also branching out of her shell a lot sooner than I ever did in my life. And so seeing her do that, seeing her come out, the teacher's telling me how she's doing in school, like she's grown so much in school and at home. And I truly love that about her. I love that, she's becoming more confident. Cece's definitely confident. That child is fearless, has confidence through the roof. She has that side of me when it comes to being, willing to just go after whatever you want. She definitely gets that from me. But the thing is Bella starts doing things now that I do. She imitates me on a daily basis. She imitates her teachers. She imitates people that inspire her. And
through a data pull of the mistress's phone, we see in the discovery files it states, several searches for Christopher Watts can be found prior to August 12, 2018. These entries appear to have been deleted. I did locate name searches for Chris Watts that dated back to August 3rd, 2017, and Shanann Watts dating back to January 7th, 2018, as well as September 1st, 2017. These entries were deleted but were recoverable. On August 3rd, 2017, a Thrive-related Facebook post. Chris deleted his Facebook the week of the murders, so we can't go back to his and look at what he posted. But this date, a whole year prior to the murders, is significant.
it's no fun. Like, I love baking, but I like doing it with someone. So I'm going live. One is in the oven. Let me put the cheese and the ricotta back in the refrigerator. What's the mean faces for?
Seeing Shanann's confusion in this live stream and knowing that the mistress cyberstalked the family the year prior, many web sleuths wondered if it was the mistress leaving the mean faces during her live stream, possibly under a troll account, though we will never know the truth.
What's the mean faces for?
Christmas time appeared to always be a fun, festive, and special time of year for the Watts family.
Wave.
Put her down, honey.
on your face. Look at you.
Say hi, Bella.
How are you, sweetheart? Hi. You're looking so good. I love your dress. Mommy. Yep, that's Mom. And is that Dad?
Is that Daddy? Thank you.
Santa.
Santa? Good thing they just had their medicine. Oh, Sharon, they just had prednisone and amoxicillin and lots of Tylenol. Not lots, but you know what I mean. And it's Santa, so they got their spirits up really quickly. And she never loses her spirit. Don't get scared. It's just Santa. I know, Chris. Back up away from the wind, honey. Sing it. There's snowman. Is that Santa?
How are you? You guys want some candy canes?
Santa, she has a cookie.
Oh, thank you very much. These are my favorite. Thank you. Guys.
Thank you. Say bye, Santa. Santa's here, but the kids are freaking out. Hey, Santa, where's your phone?
In the garage.
I wanted it.
Oh.
Santa, you gained some weight this year. Come on, Santa. Hold on, Santa. I gotta find the kids because they're kind of scared. Sit down, Santa. Have a seat.
Ho, ho, ho.
Here's Santa.
Yes.
Where's the phone?
On top of your car in the garage?
I needed it for pictures. Hold on. I gotta get the phone. This is hard. As one parent. I gotta get the phone so I can get pictures. Hold, please. My husband's a genius. Doesn't listen. Oh, it's cold.
Interior garage door.
Come on. Bella, come on. Santa has presents. Do you know where Chris is, Santa?
I have not seen him anywhere.
Can you sit down, please, Santa?
Yes, hello, Bella. How are you?
Say, I'm good. Say, Merry Christmas, Santa.
Merry Christmas, Bella.
Say, Merry Christmas.
Have you been a good girl this year?
Say, I have.
Have you been expecting me tonight? I got kind of shy on me here.
Any other presents for you?
Did your sister ask for one too? Is she gonna come see me or no? No? Okay, can you hold on? Look what I have here, Bella.
I'm right here.
Look,
Say thank you.
one's for your sister and one's for you.
Can you sit on Santa's lap? Santa, can you sit on your lap?
Yes. You've been a good girl this year, Bella.
Okay.
I need to make your sister feel better, okay?
Yeah.
She's very petrified.
Can I get a picture of you and Santa? Please.
Can you open
Santa,
up
will
your
you
gift?
hold her?
Yes, I'll definitely hold her. Yeah.
I want a picture. Oh, come on. Ready, smile. Bella, smile. Hold on. Will you hold the camera for me? Come here.
Yeah, one kid is petrified.
Santa got you a water bottle, Cece.
I did.
Say hi, Santa.
Hello, Miss Celeste. How are you?
Say hi.
There's something here for you as well. Did you ask Santa for anything else? I know. I see your decorations. I love it.
Can you sit on Santa's lap with Bella?
Right before I
Bella,
put
you sit on his lap with Bella. All right, let's say goodbye to Santa. Bye.
Bye, girls. Ho, ho, ho. Enjoy your gifts.
Thank you, Santa.
I'll see you next year.
Say bye, Bella. Say bye.
I'll make sure I wave when I go by with the reindeer.
Bye, Santa.
Bye.
Daddy home.
Daddy home?
No.
No, I think Daddy's still in the potty.
Oh, that's potty.
Potty, are you all better?
Scary.
Don't be scared. Rip the presents open. Oh, goodness gracious. What is it?
Poppy.
Poppy slippers?
Poppy. I can't move.
Bella.
It's too hard.
Bella. Cece.
Let me help you. Can I put them on? Bella, come here. Give it to me. Hey, you cut it out, Missy. Santa's not going to bring any more gifts tonight. Santa didn't pick the right water bottle out. Hold on, Dad. I'll get you.
Celeste, did Santa Claus come?
Somebody's still a grouch. We have the
Bella,
Grinch over here.
Bella, did Santa Claus come see you? Wow, what did he bring you?
What'd Santa bring you, Cece? Those are awesome. You have the Grinch.
That's nice of Santa Claus to come. All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, we'll call you guys later. Should be a Merry Christmas over here. Bella, I love your stuff. Say hi. She pooped her pants. Santa's here. Bye, guys. So everyone have a Merry Christmas.
The Watts ring in 2018 with smiling faces. But within a week, unbeknownst to anyone, someone was lurking in the shadows and behind a computer screen. On the same day Shanann threw a Thrive party at her house, the mistress was searching her on the internet. This is also the same week as Shanann's 34th birthday, which sadly would be her last.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shanann. Happy birthday to you.
What? Did you blow my candles I feel really blessed this summer. I'm going to San Diego with Chris. We're going June 22nd through the 26th, and then the 26th that afternoon at 5:30 at night. Bella, Cece, and I and my dad are flying back to North Carolina for 6 weeks. We're gonna go spend time with our families and friends and everything else, and then we're gonna come back August 7th, and then I fly to Scottsdale, Arizona on the 11th for a mini little retreat with my team, and we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Posting your itinerary and things that you're excited for on social media is very common, especially in Shanann's form of work. The only difference here is Shanann had somebody cyber stalking her and her family before she ever even worked with Shanann's husband, Chris.
It's me. I guess just call me back when you have a chance. Bye.
Hi. It's me. I miss your face.
So it was probably around June 1st or something. That's when I first met her. And it was just like a work conversation. She messed with the gas meters that, we were out in the field. And I was messing up, and then I took it to her like, hey, what's going on with this? Like, how do I fix it? And after that, we just ran into each other a few times in the office, and I think it was probably the 4th time meeting. She had asked me, because like when we were talking back and forth, I would say, like we moved here from Colorado, or from North Carolina, and stuff like that. And like, what's all this weed stuff? I'm like, I took out my phone and showed her a picture, like, my girl's on the phone. It's like, oh, okay. Like, so you're like, yeah, but I didn't wear a ring to work because like I sent the office to get refitted when I lost all that weight.
When Shanann was gone, would you stay with Nikki and then go home?
Yeah, I just wake up at like 4:30 and go home and get ready for work and leave. And I just work out when I got back home.
What were the conversations with Nikki as far as at some point you guys were talking about her helping you find an apartment? So what did you guys talk about as far as your future together?
That didn't really happen until like I got back from the beach. So I told her like I lied to her like, hey, I had talked to Shanann about getting the separation.
And that talk hadn't happened yet.
No. I mean, it kind of like, not, I mean, she knew something was going on. I mean, we weren't sleeping in the same room. And she even mentioned the fact, like, hey, you know, Colorado's 50-50 state or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, I guess she looked it up. But, you know, that actual talk hadn't like that happened. I thought it was going to happen.
You're telling her the progress toward the divorce is a little bit more than it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so what were you guys planning?
So it was more of like, she's going to help me find an apartment that was affordable. That's kind of just around like Brighton or maybe just close to work. Like first time we went out, it was to a movie over at the Orchard, and I asked her like, "Hey, you want to go see this movie?" And like, she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And we just got there. It was sold out. And you know, normally you probably just have just wait 2 hours, like just go home. But now she just wanted to walk around and just talk. I'm like, okay, that was different. And you know, I think she wanted to go to the car museum, Shelby Museum in Boulder. I've never been there. That was awesome, just to walk around cars for like an hour or so. And then drag race in Vandermeer, camping in Sand Dunes National Park. And I'd never been camping. I always wanted to do it. Thought it was, she'd done it like countless times.
You mean a lot to me, and I'm glad that you're having a blast.
She's outdoorsy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess every time like she needed to clear her head, she'd just go by herself. Just go somewhere.
Oh. Yeah. But she's a completely new type of person and relationship.
Yeah. She never knew if she wanted to have kids, but she said that, you know, at one point she said, "I'd like to give you a son."
Did she know that Shanann was pregnant with a boy?
No.
Did she know Shanann was pregnant?
No.
But Shanann put that on Facebook.
I don't know. Maybe she did.
They did come out. Janet came out for 6 weeks with the girls. They were going back and forth from our house to his house, his mother's house. And the little Celeste had allergies to nuts, tree nuts. Very allergic to them, very allergic to them. She had 2 EpiPens she had to carry with her. So she told us all, get rid of anything that's got nuts or any, just get it up high enough. Don't gotta throw it away, just get it out, no problem. My wife cleaned the whole house out. I mean, I had to go looking for stuff. You know, she took underneath every cabinet. So she told Chris's parents the same thing. They did go over her house a couple times. And so when Shannon was over, I think it was the second week she was there, the weekend, she had called me up frantically and said, "Get me the hell out of here now." The mother had nuts all over the place, and you know they're all worn. And she was there a week prior and told her to make sure this is this way. So the mother, at that time, Shannon was feeding the girls some hot dogs for lunch and all this, and she had her other 2 nieces and nephews over, and they came out with ice cream with all these nuts in it. And so ended up being, you know, Shannon and her had little words, and Shannon said no, and she called me up and said, "I gotta go. We just had a blowout because, you know, she's got nuts on the table, nuts on the in the cabinet right there, open for this little girl." And she said, "No, I'm done." And so she told Shannon, "Well, that's just a training lesson or something like that to her, you know."
And I won't change a thing. My daughter's life is way more important, and you better believe I wanted to say a whole lot more than I did, but I was being the bigger person and protecting Bella. I didn't tell your dad not to come to party. I didn't tell him not to text or call your daughter on her birthday. I didn't tell him to start acting like he only has 2 grandkids instead of 4. I didn't block your family on Facebook. He did. Myself and your kids have nothing to say to them. They do. They owe your kids their life. Your parents' home isn't a safe zone. Your mom isn't safe. You can't let them tell you what you want. But I didn't tell anyone to stop loving your kids or stop acting like it. He did that, not me. You can believe I created this dagger, but I didn't do that. I stood up for our kids. I advocated and protected our children. I don't ever want to hear, "I'm sorry I killed your kid because I was stupid." That would kill me. These kids are my world, and I have to protect them from the evil in the world. I shouldn't have to protect them from evil family. Our kids deserve the same love and attention the other kids get. Nothing less. I'm not accepting I'm sorry from your mom because she doesn't mean it and she knew what she was doing. I made it very clear not to eat it around Celeste because she doesn't understand way before that happened. She's evil and willing to risk your daughter's life just to get under my skin. You and your dad are no different if you are okay with her behavior. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not crazy. I just love my kids way too much.
Shannon called Chris and told Chris about it. So Chris said he called his parents that night, and his mother told him the same thing. That's what we heard. I didn't hear it, but that's what Shannon had said. So, of course, Shannon never went back to the house.
July 9th. I need to vent to people who understand. My 2.5 is severely anaphylactic to most all tree nuts, and we are visiting in-laws. I specifically said we can't have them in the house when we stay. My mother-in-law stated we don't buy them. I specifically mentioned the ones she is deathly anaphylactic to as well. I arrived, and on the floor shelf of her center island was a bag of pistachios. Big, bad one. I removed immediately. Today she lets her other granddaughter eat an ice cream that has all tree nuts in front and next to my 2.5-year-old child that can't have them. I said I didn't appreciate it and I removed my daughter. Her response was, she has to learn she can't always get what she wants. I am beyond furious, and she's telling me I'm overreacting when my child's life is at risk. Shanann writes in the comments, it's hard, but it's taught me a lot. Our friends always ask me before offering her something. She's so little and will grab any food and eat it.
She's going to spend all week with us, and on the weekends go to his house, his family's house, so they all swim, see the kids, and she's got pictures all to prove it. And, the nut thing kind of set her off, and the family could care less, so she said, screw it, I'm staying at my mom's house,
Shannon called him up that night before he was coming. She said, why don't you call an Uber to make sure you get a ride to the airport? Because this airport's expensive as hell to pay for. And he said, all right, I'll do that. And then he came out and he said, no, I forgot to get an Uber. I left the car out at the airport. And she was like, you left my car outside. And then she heard you guys had that hailstorm, and she was like, oh my God, what are you doing, Chris? We're not go back and find it damaged. And we were driving home, I was driving him up there, and I said, Chris, I hope that car ain't damaged, buddy. He said, yeah, I'll just go out there and get it and just make the phone call, make the claim, and not go back. I was like, good idea. I mean, the things that he was doing prior to that I'm hearing doesn't add up to him just on a spur of the moment doing something.
When the whole thing with my parents happened, with my parents called it Nutgate. What happened? Nutgate. That was like another out. Maybe I could have just stopped everything and concentrated on helping whatever happened there. Shannon had a story, my mom had a story. Probably asked my 10-year-old nephew. Probably can tell me what actually happened. Because I didn't talk to my parents from then on until August 6th. And my dad took that whole week off. Shanann was like, do not talk to them, do not call them, do not do anything. Cece's birthday was the 17th, but I think the actual birthday party was a couple days after. My mom or my dad was going to go, but then there was a post on Facebook about, allergies and stuff like that Shanann made, and my dad was like, no, I just can't do it anymore.
You perceive that as her taking a shot type thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She always says she never, put those posts directed at anybody, but she had a method to the madness. I wanted my parents to be involved. Since, the whole wedding thing, and then up to that, it was my mom and my sister were always combating with Shanann combating with them. My dad was always cool. He's just like me. He's just go with the flow. I just want everybody to get along type deal. When we were at the beach in August, my dad was supposed to let's take the whole week off just so we could see the kids and see me and we have a cookout at my sister's house or something. And then, but we just pretty much spent 5 days at the beach, and Shanann booked it so I don't want to say punishment for them not to see the kids, but I wanted them to see it, see them. I wish I could have fixed all that. And I even when I was at the beach, I told Shanann that it was more what was going on was more I feel cause my dad's not here, I feel I've lost something in my life. I haven't talked to him for 3 weeks. I haven't been to see the kids for 3 weeks, on FaceTime or anything. And I wanted them to be able to have that relationship. And she was pretty much gung-ho, like she tried to kill my daughter by giving her pink. I was like, I don't think she gave it to her. Put something in front of CC. People think, oh, he'll be fine. He'll just have a rash. He'll be fine. I've seen CC, like the first time. Well, I've seen a picture of when he had a castry the first time. It wasn't good. And then she had kiwi the second time, and then the same thing happened. And I know it's real. It's not like it wasn't like her throat like closed up, but she broke out in this full body rash. It looked really crazy looking, and luckily, nothing with her throat like happened. I mean, I just like, Mom, you just gotta. I told her you need to think. You need to pay attention. Just because another kid can have something doesn't mean another kid can have something. Because like we were at that birthday party at Jeremy's that Sunday, they had this cake there. Like Bella wanted it so bad. I'm like, can't do that to her because Cece can't have it. She was like, okay. And all the other kids were like, they can't have the cake. Like I just kind of took them off and gave them some one of those frozen pops or something. But it's just like she had to learn that just because one kid can have something, and there's another kid that can't have it for a legitimate reason. Like she couldn't have done it, but that's the kind of talk I had with her when Shannon called me. I think it was maybe like middle of July or something when she told me all this had happened. Mm-hmm. That's when I called my mom and talked to them for a while, and then they're just like, they just couldn't deal with her anymore. Shannon just kind of like, they like flipped out. My nephew told Bella to go hide behind the curtain because I don't think your mom was going to let you come over here again or something like that. It was bad. It was like a last straw between them, I think. Because Cece and Bella and my niece and nephew were there. So Chanel was there, and I guess they were all sitting, and my niece went into the kitchen, and she knew where the ice cream was. She went in the freezer, got it, went out, and sat beside Cece and started eating. But like, it's just a matter of like, Cece could go like that. I don't know what would happen if she just got it on her hand. Yeah, it was. So they would go from from Sandy and Frank's house for like a few days or 5 days, and then go to my mom and dad's house for a couple of days and come back and forth.
Birthday to you.
There was a few times that Shannon would FaceTime Chris because she would FaceTime every night because of the children. Mm-hmm. And there was a few times. I mean, a couple of times it did catch me off guard, like what's going on? Because she was like, "Are you going to pay attention to the children?" Like he was in another world out there. And he's like, yeah. And like I said, and I started saying, well, what's he doing? Is he just not, ignoring him and just not paying attention, watching TV or whatever? When he came out, he was the same way. If you've ever seen anything, if you've seen with Chris, he's just the same way. That's how he is. There's no, everything you see in the courtrooms or whatever, he's the same way. That's just how he was.
As far as
his demeanor, he was just more straightforward and didn't,
quiet.
Yeah, he wasn't the really, he would talk to us when we were there. Everything you'd have a good time, but it just doesn't, we went to the beach. The kids, it was the first time they ever went to the beach. And he was like the same way. I mean, it didn't dawn on me anything.
I'm in and out smoking cigarettes or whatever, and I go in and peek on her, and she slept on the couch, which I thought was odd, and that he never came out to see her, or because he used to be like so like nurturing and so like, I was almost like, dude, you're a little much, dude. Like.
So you said she was sleeping on the couch when she was out there. Did she do that the whole time she was there?
No, not once. Only when he was there.
Okay. Did she sleep on the couch the whole time he was there? Do you know?
He was there like one day, and then they went to the beach, and then they came back, and I'm pretty sure that was the night, and then she slept on the couch. The night before they went to the beach, they all slept in the room.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many nights was he there?
Maybe 3. I'd have to ask my dad. It wasn't much because he was just supposed to come there and he was hanging out with us for a day, and then he was going to go to the beach, and the last day he came back, he was going to hang out with his family. And they were supposed to go to the beach with them. And I think they did, but they didn't meet up at all.
Really?
Because of that nut thing, yeah. Because they had it planned, and his dad loved those kids because he did, And I feel sorry for his family. They got to go through a whole lot,
Right.
I can imagine what they're going through, You know, they lost nieces and their son, you know, and I'm sure some of them had love for my sister, you know, not the mom so much, but hey, it's our problem, you know?
Right.
Nikki was texting me the entire time I was over there. Oh. Like, they could kind of see, like, I was texting somebody. But it was like, maybe they kind of knew. Like, even like when I was in San Diego talking to my friend Mark, I told him about Nikki, but I didn't tell him, like, I was going to meet up with her.
I think there may have been an emotional relationship prior to her leaving to come to North Carolina, and it may have progressed into something else when she was gone. I don't know anything about it. Chris didn't talk to us a lot about any of his personal life. He didn't, but you could see it. You could see it when you went down, when you went to visit.
We all were planning on like going to the beach at the end of because Chris was coming out the last week, and we were all planning, his family and everybody, you know, go to the beach and everybody have a good time. Shannon never said anything to us about a separation, fights. I mean, I don't know if she wanted to just keep it from us and not, you know, get us involved in it. So we knew nothing about anything that they were doing, separation or any of this stuff, until this all happened and friends of Shannon said, no, this is what was going on.
While in North Carolina, Chris received his last haircut as a free man by his mother-in-law. After news broke of Shanann and the girls, Sandy's co-workers recall seeing the Watts family in the salon.
She was definitely one of those people that when she walked in the room, it was just like sunshine. Chris was very standoffish. She didn't really say anything. I said hi to him. He kept his head down. She mentioned, you know, about them having problems, Shannon and Chris.
But Watts' mother's co-workers say Oronati told them there was trouble in the marriage. And you said you thought they were going to separate.
Oh, that was the plan. That was definitely the plan.
She said she couldn't afford to live in Colorado on her own, and that I told her, like, well, try it. I mean, she pretty much makes the same amount I do, but she said she wouldn't want to try. It's because, you know, Colorado just price of living there was a lot higher than North Carolina.
The following are random text messages between Shanann and her friends, describing what was going on between her and Chris as soon as he arrived in North Carolina. They read as followed: I just can't. Kids in bed, I took a night shower, means I want sex, and he knows it. He's over here doing effing push-up challenge. Instead of discussing anything or effing me, I'm over here crying in silence. Girls, stop him and tell him don't cry in silence. That's not good for your baby. Before I left, he said, be ready when I get there. You won't be able to walk. Do you think is because where you guys are at? We are alone in a beach house. Oh, you really need to have a heart-to-heart convo. I did earlier about why he won't having sex with you. Did you look through the phone? Did you ask if there was someone? He said last night opposites attract, but this isn't working anymore. I did. He denied. No, I didn't look. He's deleting messages from his dad. I'm sure he's not that stupid. Why is he deleting messages from his dad? This makes no sense. Any of this. It's not Chris. He loves and adores you. At beach, they wanted to see him and kids, and he told him he couldn't break away, when that was a lie. I told him 3 times to go, but kids were not going. He said, no, I want to be with kids. He took our pic off his phone and put up sand dunes. Noticed when he arrived. What the hell? Why would he take your guys' pic off? That's unlike him. He said pic was cool. He doesn't wear wedding ring because it doesn't fit. We don't wear ours because of that, and after an update I did on the phone, I never put the pics of us back on till months later. But he removed our pic. Yeah, now that's strange. Chris told me last night he's scared to death about this 3rd baby, and he's happy with just Bella and Celeste and doesn't want another baby. He's just scared. Everything will be fun once the baby comes. Addie, he has changed. I don't know who he is. What do you mean? He hasn't touched me all week, kissed me, talked to me except for when I'm trying to figure out what is wrong. He's been distant since I left. Records show a text message from Shanann to Chris that reads, you don't see you or how you're treating me. 8 years of love and you're treating me horribly. I fell deeper in love with you this summer. You fell out. That's not love. Love falls deeper in love when apart, not out, you don't love me, or have a horrible way of showing it. You haven't fought for me this week, it's only the kids. After this text message, court records show that Chris transferred an image of his mistress into a secret calculator app, which is an app that allows you to have a discreet and secretive place to transfer photos and even have a private internet browser.
They had a suspicion that he may have been cheating on her because she had come home when he went. She was gone Saturday he was going to a baseball game. And it was I caught that kind of odd because he never leaves the kids with somebody else if Shannon's not there. He's usually always home. And she checked her finances on the phone and found out he spent $60-something for dinner. And he said, yeah, I went out and had salmon and a couple of beers.
Nikki just wanted, she wanted what she wanted. She wanted to do it pretty much all the time. I was just like, okay, that's not me. With Shanann, it was just like, hey, sometimes it happens, sometimes it didn't. But that wasn't the case as far as that way. It wasn't just like sex or whatnot. But it was mainly, I would just want myself. I could just not think about what I was going to say or plan what I was going to say or not, gonna say something stupid or something.
What kind of truck do you drive?
I drive a Toyota 4Runner.
Okay. So you guys take your 4Runner to the Lazy Dog.
Yep. We went there, and they have a different menu, and I was like, I don't want to eat this food, so we should go to the other one.
So initially you go to the 120th location. Did you actually get seated?
Kind of, sort of. They were like cleaning off a table, and we were standing there, just kind of looking at the beer menu and the food menu, and I was like, I don't want this, and so we left.
One friend had joked with Shanann that she had mentioned she was wondering if Chris had maybe there was some infidelity, but she joked that, quote, he had no game, so she kind of brushed that off.
Shanann's text to Chris reads, "Good morning, honey. Sorry to make you wake up twice today. I didn't want alarm going off. We are checked in and everything. It's already a madhouse here today. Enjoy the girls. Don't forget King Supers 10 to 11. I told Bella I was leaving for work with Nikki and assured her that I was always coming home. They usually don't eat right away lately. Give them lots of kisses for me. Thank you for everything last night. I miss and love you so much. I am still in shock we are having a little boy. I'm so excited and happy. I really thought it was another girl. Thank you for letting me hold you this morning. It felt good. Your letter is on the counter. Have a great time with the kiddos. They truly missed you. Love you, baby. Send me pics." Just like Shanann had talked about, she flew to Arizona for a Thrive convention. Before she embarked on her final trip, she left Chris a letter. "My dearest Chris, I don't know where to begin. I am so lost for words. I can't even explain how hard this pain hurts. The last 5 weeks have been so hard. I missed everything about you. I missed your morning breath, your touch, your lips against mine. I miss holding you. I miss smelling you in the sheets. I miss talking to you in person. I miss watching you laugh and play with the kids. I love seeing their smile with you. I miss seeing you naked and on top of me making love. Oh my God, I missed having you around when I felt alone and upset. I just flat out miss the hell out of you. I really don't know how we fell out of compatibility. The only major thing that happened was between your mom and I. I can't change what happened, and I will work with you and them to work things out. There has to be a mutual respect from all parties. An apology from your mom personally would be nice. Our daughter's life can't be replaced. I've only seen you shut down like this once, and that was with your parents after our wedding. We deserve to have all family in our life and with love, not hate. I don't want to lose you ever. I will be civil and get along with your mom. We just all need to have mutual respect. I will do anything for you. The last thing on earth is for you to hurt. You deserve the world, and I don't like when you hurt. It hurts me. I can't and won't lose you without fighting for us. I will always fight for our marriage and you. This is the hardest thing I have ever gone through, but you are worth it. Tell me what you need. I love you, baby, with all my heart, always and forever. Love, always, Shanann." From the moment Shanann got home near 2 a.m., the series of events that took place still sort of remain a mystery. We've had multiple confessions from Chris, one of which being a false confession, blaming Shanann for the children's demise. We do know that as soon as Nicole Nicole Atkinson showed up at the house, it seems Chris's plan started unraveling. Chris is texting a friend here. I just talked to Nikki. Shanann went to a friend's house with the kids today. I haven't heard from her since. I will keep you updated though. Okay, the girls are worried. I know, I just saw Nikki on the doorbell camera. Any word? How are you doing? No word at all, man. I know the cops are getting the missing person report ready. I'm at home sick to my stomach. No luck on calls to hospitals or hotels and things? Let me know if you need any help. Hospitals had nothing. Every hotel I could think of, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. On the day Shanann and the girls are missing, her brother writes, me too. Not only is it my sister, it's my 2 nieces and her unborn child in her belly. Very scared. We wouldn't be freaking out and worried so much if all her belongings weren't at the house. It's just not like my sister not to take her phone, her daughter's EpiPen, the car seats, you name it. Everything is home except for them. They are supposed to start the first day of school today and no one has seen or heard from her or anybody. They had to call her husband home from work. The neighbor has a camera at his house that points towards my sister's and they didn't see anything in the camera.
Well, when Sandy said she couldn't get a hold of Shanann, it didn't. I mean, it's because I know sometimes Shannon's like, "Mom, just leave me alone." She doesn't do it. But sometimes if Sandy couldn't get a hold of her, she'd say, "Can you text her and find out what's going on?" Shanann would answer pretty much me all the time. So she never called me. When I found out she was missing, and then before I even knew about the truck, and they said her phone was in there, I told them right away there's something wrong. And then when he told me the truck was back into the driveway, and then I heard, but Sandy was on the phone with them when they got into the house, and I was there, and they said her cell phone is here, her purse is here, something is wrong.
Where's the purse at?
On the counter.
I'm still recording, so.
Yep.
Whose phone is that?
I believe that is his. Mom overtook hers.
Watts told reporters he had no idea where his family could be.
It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from. It's not something I could ever fathom would happen in my lifetime.
By day 2, Chris Watts was in speaking with the FBI, which is when we start to see Chris's charades and dances around the truth.
When did you start pulling out? It wasn't in the last 5 weeks. It's been an ongoing process for probably about a year. Why? I just felt like everything that we had when we first started dating and met, like we met in 2010, everything, your new relationship, spark, everything's hot and heavy, everything's great. Get married, everything's still great. And then people just fall out of love. And that's where I was. I just felt like over the last year, I thought that okay, maybe this is just like a phase. Maybe this, this is what happens. You've been with somebody so long. Maybe the spark isn't there, just reignited somehow, some way. But our conversations weren't the same. When we were apart, everything was just short, and it was just nothing felt right anymore. The disconnection was there, and it just never felt right anymore. But why? It wasn't there. I just didn't feel it. It was I didn't have that passion anymore.
And I've got to imagine that maybe there was a girl that inspired it.
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Why are you falling out of love?
After the last 5 weeks, being by myself and being able to be myself again. I couldn't be myself around Shanann anymore.
Why not?
It was I was walking just walk on eggshells type thing. It's kind of you feel like you're always doing something that's wrong. It's you feel like you're never does that make sense at all?
The timing doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. But it's if you can't be yourself around your wife, who can you be yourself around?
Why couldn't you be yourself around your wife?
I just felt I'd always have to change who I was because I was always about, I was doing the laundry, I do everything. I do everything that I could for her, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last 5 weeks, I was just just being myself, just doing me. And I just thought to myself, one of my buddies, Mark, he lives out in San Diego, is like one big test that he learned, like he was divorced at one point, and he was like, so if you could picture yourself, like if you could picture your wife and she was with someone else, would you get jealous? I was like, at this point I have to say no. And he was like, well, there's your answer. Like, if you love her, it would be a different answer. I've never cheated on my wife. Okay. And I fully suspect she's never done that to me. Oh, okay. Like, she's always been a trustworthy person. I've always been a trustworthy person. I fully expect if we ever thought about straying another way, that we would tell each other before it happened. 5:26, I'm gone.
Okay, and she's still at the house now? Are you sure?
There's I mean, she never came back downstairs.
This conversation happened upstairs?
Yes.
In the master bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. And you're sure she didn't come down?
Like, once I was in the garage, so I didn't see anything after that.
After agreeing to the polygraph that night, Agent Coder suggests he comes in the next day and takes it. Chris picks his father up at the airport and heads to the police station, wearing the same clothes as the day prior.
So Friday, I woke up I waited for the kids to wake up because she left pretty early that morning. Nicole came pick her up and she left to the airport.
Was it like kiss, hug, bye, or was it kind of strained as far as?
It was a hug.
It was a hug?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like, have a safe flight and just let me know when you get there, and I'll send you pictures of the kids throughout the day.
Do you have any other life insurance with any other?
I think Jan has like her own and I have my own type thing.
Okay. How much do you have on you?
Oh, no clue.
Why wouldn't you know what you have? Did she get it?
She did it. She did.
Oh,
she did all that. Because I think the person who introduced us, my cousin's wife, she did the insurance. I think she did it through her.
Are you guys still close with her, or would you talk?
No, I don't think Shannon and her had fallen out.
They did have a falling out.
Yeah, something about like her old boss and some money thing as far as him and some it was something I didn't know about.
Are you starting to say embezzling?
Yeah.
Okay, the boss was embezzling, or did they accuse Shanann?
I think it was the other way around, but I had no really details about it, and it was just one was saying one thing, one was saying the other. And I was
I just want to make sure I'm not getting this mixed up.
Yeah.
The boss maybe accused Shanann of embezzling money.
Yeah.
And how long ago would that have been?
Well, that was right before I met her.
2010.
Yeah.
Okay. And where was she working? Was she working at the?
Her boss was the one that owned all the wheel shops. And I think Nicole again gave her. She did insurance at that point in time. And
okay. So whatever happened with that? The boss accusing your wife of?
They're still good friends.
The boss and your wife?
Yeah.
Okay. But when you're there, did you guys have sex at all, or?
No.
No? Okay. Were you guys affectionate after the kiss at the airport?
Not really.
Okay.
That's where we could feel it wasn't really there at that point in time.
Okay, and up until the point where she left, was it, affectionate and?
No.
What was your sex life like?
It was. The last time we had sex was in May, when the kid was born, or kid was conceived.
So that would have been in May?
It would have been because she found out second week of June, so it would have been May.
After 6+ hours of interrogating, things took an ugly turn. The technique used is called the Reed technique, which is no longer taught to federal law enforcement because its high rate in false confession.
And I want to believe that maybe Shanann did it and you felt compelled to fix this so Shanann didn't look bad. That's what I want to believe. But I don't know, you're not telling me that, so it makes me think the worst. Did you do that to all three of them?
I did not do anything to these kids. Not do anything.
What did Shanann do to them? Tell us, Chris. Chicks are crazy. I want to make sure. So you're good with the public knowing that Shanann killed her daughters?
I did not hurt these girls.
Are you okay with the public knowing that Shanann?
Yes, because I did not hurt these girls. I didn't
sample my babies.
As Chris Watts appeared in court for the first time since his arrest, prosecutors said they believe the murders happened in their home. Authorities found Shannon Watts and her two daughters on the grounds of a petroleum drilling company where Watts worked. A company spokeswoman says Watts is no longer an employee and that the company is heartbroken.
Chris Watts' attorney is asking for DNA samples to be taken from the two girls. What the defense wants to do with the samples is not known. The paperwork also notes that the children were found in an oil tank filled with crude oil and had been there for several days.
The type of attention or publicity it has gotten has been overwhelming. Women have gone out and bought the cardigan I was wearing. It's all been very surreal.
Because she called me up and she said, Dad, I'm going to come out for the summer, come out for, in the summertime and spend some time with you guys because, So it wasn't, this was totally, different. Like she said, I'll come out for 2 weeks. I said, okay, no problem. And then she called me back, says, well, maybe I'll come out for a little longer. I said, can you handle being with your mother longer? Well, I'll just have to try to work that out. I said, okay. Because they're, my wife always says, my kids don't take after me. I said, oh, your daughter is, you guys, and me and my son are the same way. It's like, butt heads all the time. Right. It could be the simplest thing, and we're just butting heads. So it's not like they fought. It was just they just butt heads. And I said, "Well, you can handle it, then fine." And then she said, "Okay." And then she called me back. And said, "Well, Mom's birthday's coming up too, and maybe we'll just stay out there for a little longer and just spend. I'll go stay here with you, and then go by Chris's family, and we go back and forth. No problem." So it was nothing. That was the first time it happened, and I guess it gave him time to think about what he's going to do. Because I don't think this was a spur of the moment thing.
Why are you saying that?
Well, because stuff don't add up. Why would you move the car out of the garage? Supposedly we're here and you have a girlfriend. You pretty much knew where to take him. I don't know why you would take him to your job. There's plenty of places out in Colorado. I drove for Lowe's out here, and I went to the mountains, and there's some canyons out there that I don't think anybody be found. And it just doesn't add up the way it happened. I don't know if it was the same day that Nate had called me and said that he had it on video that he backed his truck into the driveway that morning, which never ever gets back. I was living out here for over a year and a half in their house, and that truck never ever, his company truck never got pulled into that driveway because it leaked oil, from what Shannon said, and she didn't want her driveway dirty with oil. So it would never. He would have to take it to a car wash and everything, and nothing was ever done in that house with that truck because it's a company truck. So when he told me that. And then he threw at me, he said, yeah, and then, it was kind of funny because when you guys were gone, she was gone, he would took her car out of the driveway, out of the garage, and parked it down the street for a couple of days. I'm like, what? I just can't understand him. And, for him to do what they say he did to these two little children, she would never ever hurt those kids. That's her life, and they have another baby. It was just, that's her life. She took care of kids all her life. So yeah, she would have gave up a fight. I'm sorry to say, but it's just how it is. So that's why we're saying he got her while she was sleeping. It's like I said, she'd be throwing his ass out of the house before she left that house. And that's the whole thing I kept telling these people. She is my wife through and through, and my wife would not leave the house. She'll have me arrested, and that's just the way Shannon is.
Shanann's brother lashed out at Watts on Facebook. I just want 30 seconds alone with that heartless psychopath. May Satan have mercy on his soul.
No idea where this would even come from. I've come up with different scenarios in my head, I don't know. Like when you get mad at somebody and I've been in arguments and fights with girlfriends, and they say things that'll get you into a rage. You're like, oh hell no, you know. And you know, I thought maybe he could have told her, or she was like, hey, well, where'd that $60 go to on your little trip you went to the baseball game? And I think he maybe could have told her what he did. He was on a date with his new girl, and she could have said, oh yeah, well, I was with some guy in North Carolina the whole time or something, and he could have done something and woke the girls up, and that's why he had to do that. I don't know. He was in love. He was like obsessed. And I think maybe he probably had in his head, if I can't have you, no one will. And he either did that, and the kids had to have seen. I don't ever see any other way of why he would do that.
Yeah.
You know, at all. I really don't. But then after, you know, like I said with the interview, I was like, this is just all too much. This is immediately him laughing. You know, it's just not him. It's like the devil got into him and turned him into a whole different person. I mean, no, just shut him off. Like, he was never like a hyper and happy guy. He's always kind of, I don't know, he just didn't get excited about things. He didn't really show emotion, but now he's like really not showing anything.
Yeah.
You know, the parents had nothing to do with this, as far as I know. I mean, even if they did, they weren't here. They didn't make him do it. And you know, the thing was, it's like you have a chance to stop doing what you're doing, or you can continue. And then you're done with one, and you still have choices to go to the other two. You know, that's what, I don't know. I keep seeing it in my head, like in his point of view of my family's faces.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I asked God to get it away from me. I don't want to see that anymore. I don't know why. I guess like either Shannon's talent showing me or what, but I wish it would go away. Seeing him today and watching him in a video, I feel bad for him. I do.
Yeah.
I really do. I can't help it. I know what he did to my sister, and then when I saw her house the other day, I saw a garage, knowing that was where they left. It ate me up. But seeing him and watching him today, I was just, you know, watching the video when I got the Chris Watts thing, I was like, I still feel bad for him. I have a heart in my chest, you know, I do. And we loved the guy. We did. He was my brother.
Had all their lives to live. They were taken by a heartless one. This is the heartless one, the evil monster. Who dare you take the lives of my daughter Shannon, Bella, Celeste, and you?
I mean, you could be angry at your spouse like your whole life, but you should never have done anything like this. You should never let it get to that point. But I let it get to a point where I've never been angry before. Like, and this was like the epitome of being angry. The epitome of like showing a rage. The epitome of like losing your mind. I mean, even like some people in here said, dude, like, the heck happened? You must have freaking snapped. And, like, I was blown away. It's like, you know, it's I don't see it in my mind how it could have, like, you know, I look outside every day, I'm like, what could we be doing right now? You know, right now I'd have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and more than likely a 1-month-old son. And a beautiful wife. And just like, right now it's just me.
So what were you thinking on the way out there?
It's kind of like what I'm doing right now. I'm just like, you know, nervous, shaking, not knowing, like, you know, what's going to happen. Like, I know, like, my life has completely changed. I don't know, like, what's happening. Like, honestly, like, I try to picture that whole ride. Like, it's like 45 minutes to an hour ride out there. And it's just like, couldn't I have, like, saved my girl's life? Couldn't I have done something? Why did I do that? I don't know. Like, this is my flesh and blood. This is like what I wanted all my life, was to be a dad, just to have, you know, kids, and they loved me, they, you know, all that, and it just nothing made sense. Like the oil tank, nothing made sense. I'm just like, what are you doing?
What happened?
I woke back up. I don't really want to talk about this part, honestly. Those are my kids. This is my baby. I have to talk to them every night. I don't see how this could happen. Every time I see pictures of them, I don't know how this could have happened. Being a dad was the best part of my life. I took it all away. Like I said, it was just like something else was controlling me that day. I had no control over what I was, like, to fight back. Like when that prosecutor said that Bella bit her tongue, like, repeatedly, I just wanted to just bang my head up against the wall. I can't even tell you. It was like I said, like something else was in control of what I was doing, and it was like I was doing something I never thought I would ever do in my life. Like every time I close my eyes, I just hear her saying, "Daddy, no," and that was it. I hear that every day.
Sorry, man.
Sorry doesn't take anything back. I just wanted to just tell her how I was feeling at that point in time. Like, I didn't feel like me and her were compatible anymore. Honestly, I didn't feel like that because what was going on with Nikki, it was new. It was new. Anything that's new always feels better than the old. I never felt that. I mean, even like with new relationships in the past, like it always felt different. Like, the first couple weeks, and then it just with someone Nikki felt different. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just like you said, like I was more in control, and like it was more of like maybe more of me coming out. Because Shanann always said like it always seemed I was more myself around other people, like her cousin Cody. Cody always talked about like how Chris is so funny. Chris is like Shanann would always just like, why are you him like that with me? I'm just like maybe I always felt nervous around you. In the back of my head, I was just telling myself, what are you doing? Like, every time, I open up my phone, I could see pictures and, like, of my wife and my kids, and just like, what am I doing? And then, like, every time I was with her, it seemed like I didn't think. It seemed like it was like a blinder that was in my face.
Oh.
And it just, like, every time I look back on it, like, like, I have pictures of my wife and kids and myself. And, like, every night, or every morning, every night, I just, talk to them, just try to think back. Like, I wish this never happened. It was just like, I wish that blinder wasn't on my head, right in my eyes. That would have seen what was going on. Like, everybody says, oh, you're just out there having fun while your kids, or kids and wife are on vacation. I'm just like, no, it wasn't like that. But it seemed like that's what it looked like when, when you're going, you're going to camping, you're going to drag race, going all this other stuff that you have fun doing, but you're with somebody else. It's not your family. It just didn't seem right. With her, it just didn't seem like I could even see that anymore. I was there at her house pretty much every night. So it was like I didn't have that time at home just to really think about anything. Because literally, I was only at home from like when I got home from work. I worked out, I ate dinner, and then I went over to her house. Like I never slept in my house in like the whole month of July.
This all happened so quickly, didn't it?
It was insane quickly. Like I didn't she even told me like she was like a normal relationship. She would never have somebody over at her house like more than like once or twice a week, but she felt like she wanted me over there. She said she felt comfortable over there. Yeah. So it's just like that's what was different. Like she wanted me over there. But I just wish that all that would just go away. I just wish I almost like I know it's hard. I know it's wrong to say I wish I'd never met somebody, but I wish I'd, maybe met her at work and then just kept it that way.
While Nicole was cooperative, things were off to a shaky start when it was discovered she had deleted vital text messages between her and Chris before she came forth to law enforcement.
Well, I just realized that he was lying to me, and I was like, well, if you can lie to me about this, what else are you lying to me about? And it made me realize that maybe his wife was in danger at that point, and it was day 2 too, and she still wasn't home because he lied to me. I mean, that's what it was. It was the hurt that made me delete it, and then it was the lie that made me start questioning everything else he'd been telling me for the last few days.
And that's when you decided to come forward?
Yes.
Okay. So just for context,
yes.
When people delete stuff off phones, usually we go, hold
no,
on a second.
No. It wasn't malicious at all. It wasn't malicious at all. He lied to me. It just hurt. Like, I had never felt like he'd ever lied to me before. And it was a big lie. I mean, telling somebody that you're in the midst of a divorce and then you have a wife that has a 15-week-old baby on the way is a huge, huge thing. And I was very taken back. And it was hurt. And so at that point, I deleted it. I had a few more quick things to say to him, and then I just got rid of him. That's literally what I did. I just cut him out of my life. It would have honestly been like a bad breakup kind of thing. Like, if none of this other stuff would have happened, that's what it would have been. That would have been the end of it.
The information was not destroyed because there was anything in there that would be harmful to you or potentially to Chris at this point, but harmful to you in particular. That's not why you did it.
No. this is a horrible situation and I don't know where she's at, and it's really concerning me that this woman, her children, cannot be located. It's not okay. It scares me. I'm worried for all of them.
When he told you that he was in love with you, was that recent?
It was probably like a couple weeks ago. And, and I even told him, you've been married for a long time. I think it would be wise for you to spend a lot of time on your own. I was like, and I recently got out of a relationship earlier this year, and I think it's also healthy for me to spend time on my own. And I told him, I was like, I respect, monogamy. Once you guys, all your paperwork's finalized, and you guys have decided to separate, and you're in your own spot with your kids, I think the days that you're with your kids, you need to be with them, full time. I'm not ready to meet your children. He didn't even ask me to meet his children. I mean, not yet. In the future, eventually, if we get to that point where we think we're ready, yes, but I'm not ready. They're not ready to meet me. We're not ready to have me meet them. And I would just tell them, I think we should take our time. The time you spend with me, spend it in my house, because this is our space, and that's not my space. And for me, I think it's really disrespectful to go over there. But we had went out, and we stopped there just real quick on the way back. I saw a picture of his wife and one of his kids. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, she's so beautiful. And I took a step back, and I was just like, this man has a gorgeous house. He has beautiful babies. He has a beautiful wife. He has an awesome job. Why would he want to leave this? And I remember talking to him about it, and that was the first time that I tried to actually say, what do you think about not separating from your wife? What if you really try to work on this? And he had expressed to me that we've tried to work on this and it's not working, so that is why we're separating. Because it almost made me feel bad. The way he described it is in a contractual agreement, but was not in an emotional relationship with somebody. He's the mother of 2 of your kids, and I'm just I tried. I really tried to handle that whole relationship in the most decent manner that I could. After finding out oh yeah, and I've also got this child on the way with her, and just wasn't very honest with me, I told him, please give me time to heal, please give me time to process this. And he's like, are we done? Are we done? And I told him, I said, no, we're not. Yes, we are, but he doesn't need to know that. I just told him that because I was just trying to find a way to distance myself from him without alerting him that I'm really uncomfortable with everything that's going on right now. I told him numerous times yesterday that I was scared. I told him that I was scared not because of for my own safety, but I told him I'm scared because I don't know where she's at. I'm scared because I'm scared for them. And then I told him, the fact that you weren't honest with me, I don't feel like I know you as well as I did, and that that's uncomfortable for me too. This whole situation is it's scary. It's not good. I just asked him if he could give me some space, and then I told him, I was like, when you find your family and they're all right, then you can go ahead and text me. I was like, but until then, I don't really think it's a good idea for me to talk to you. But I can tell you right now, if I were to text him and just say whatever I needed to say, he would do it.
You're pretty serious. Did he ever tell you that he loved you?
Yes, he did.
Did you ever tell him the same?
A couple times. I think it was something where it was I said it a few times and I meant it, but he definitely felt the urge to say it to me a lot more than I did to him, because it was just all very new to me, and I was like, take your time with this. You don't need to rush that, I remember when he was in North Carolina and he was trying to patch things up with his wife, and he told me he loved me, and I was like, don't say that to me. Please go try to fit. And I mean, and that might even be in the text too, where it's don't say those words to me and then go try to make peace with your wife and lay in bed with another woman. Just don't do that. And I was like, it's not that I don't appreciate what you're saying to me. It's it just didn't sit right for me. Looking back at all this now, I don't think he was trying to fix things with her. So saying I love you to me seemed like probably something that he genuinely meant. I love this woman, and regardless of where he was going to end up that night. But to me, in the way that I was perceiving things, he had told me that he was trying to fix things with her. So it's just this isn't an appropriate time. And I wasn't mad at him. And I'm pretty sure that's in the text too, where it was very calm, but it's just it's almost disrespectful, where it's please don't. I'm if we get to that point where it is you and me, yes, you can say that, but not then. I mean, and he wrote it. It's in all those cards I gave you. Not in all of them, but the later.
When you said it to him, you said you meant it when you said it.
Yes, I just didn't say it as frequently as he said it. Sometimes he would say it, and I was just for me, it was still like very, very new, so I kind of like took my time and only said it when I was just like, this is a really important moment.
He
Yes.
became very attached to you.
Yes. Very, very
He's
attached.
sending cards,
flowers.
He's telling you he loves you. He sends you flowers. Does he buy you any other gifts?
I wouldn't have wanted them anyways. Flowers is enough. You can't. I don't need expensive stuff.
But he becomes very attached.
Yes.
You guys are talking multiple times a day, at least. You're
all the time.
You're seeing each other on a regular basis.
Yep.
So it's a very and his wife is not around, nor are his children. So there's a lot of time for you guys to build your relationship in this first four weeks or so. Is that fair?
Yeah, and even when she was back, I mean, it was still like we were still spending time together. He was still spending time with his children, and I had my own life. Like, I mean, there was 1 week where I just like went out of town with my friends for my birthday. I wasn't even around the whole like last few days of June up until the 3rd of July. I was like gone, you know. And then there was another like last weekend I had a friend impromptu come in town from out of state, and I hosted her for a few days. And it's like I still did my own thing all the time. Like, whether he was there or not, like, if my friends were like, hey, we want to make plans, I would tell him, like, we're not hanging out today because I want to go see my mom or my dad.
Did your friends know about him?
Nope.
Why?
Because it's like he's with 2 women right now. They don't need to know about
So
that.
if you had a boyfriend of 4 to 8 weeks on a regular... I don't know if you were married prior or if you had a boyfriend before, but if you had a steady boyfriend, you would have let people know. I think you told me before we got started that you just told your dad about Chris.
No, I wouldn't have told them. I wouldn't have told people. It's too early. I mean, people...
So you don't tell your friends, hey,
no, because people come and go. I mean, the dating scene these days is like, it sucks. I mean, so, no, I wouldn't. I mean, it would have to be something, even with Sean. I think I was with Sean for probably like 6 or 7 months before I brought him home to my family. I mean, I really, same with, that was the guy I was in a previous relationship with, but I mean... But
this one you were a little bit more, you said he's with 2 women. Was that one of your considerations for not telling anybody about him?
Yes, well, I mean, it was like, okay, like this... To me, it wasn't going to be an extended thing. Like, if it got to the point where we were, like, dating for, like, 3 or 4 months and he's still talking about, oh, I'm going to move out and I'm going to sell the house, I think at that point I probably would have just been like, I don't think you're really, like, doing these things you say you're going to do. And I probably would have just, like, left because at that point, it's not fair. It wasn't fair to me in the first place. It wasn't fair to her in the first place. It wasn't fair to any of us in the first place. You know, it wasn't fair to his family for him to have an affair. It wasn't fair to me to have him lie to me and make me think that everything is going to plan. And still to this day, I don't even know what's a lie and what's not. I don't even know if they were like filing for divorce. I don't know if they were putting the house up. Because I think he was trying to save his ass with the fact that she's pregnant. So he told me that she had asked him to wake her up before he left for work. And so I don't know if she did that on a text or how it was supposedly communicated, which I also found weird because, like, she's still sleeping when he leaves because she gets up with the kids and they get up shortly after that, but, like, it's just him in the mornings, you know. And so he said that she woke up and those two kind of just, like, got in a disagreement, and I don't know what all was said, but he was like, she was being pretty mean, and then he said, she told me that she's pregnant, and she told me that the kid is not mine. That is what he told me.
So she's pregnant, the kid's not mine, and that like he's playing it. He didn't know she was pregnant until that morning.
Yep.
And that she had an affair with somebody else.
Yes, and this is before I knew she was 15 weeks pregnant.
Okay.
Like, all the stuff on Monday that I read from my recollection, because I didn't find out she was pregnant until Tuesday, so anything that got posted on Monday did not emphasize the fact that she, like, had a baby on board.
So she's mean to him and then throws this out.
Yes.
That she's pregnant from another man.
And I said, do you believe her? And he was just like, he said something about, like, oh yeah, like, she's she kind of looked like she was showing when we were in North Carolina, but I wasn't sure. And I'm like, so you think she's pregnant? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do you think she's like having an affair? And he's like, I think she said that out of spite. And he's like, and I was like, okay. And then, and again, like, I think he's just saying all this to me to try to cover his tracks with me. Like, I don't know what he told you guys, but I bet it's probably very different. And I think that what he said to me, it was like directed towards me. Like this whole bullshit little box lie that he had right there was like the lie directed.
Did he say when the argument started?
Nope. He just said it was in the morning. He said he woke her up in the morning.
Okay. Did he say when she came home? Did he ever let you know that?
I think I want to say he said around like 2, but I don't know.
Okay. And then he woke her for what purpose?
Because she asked him to.
Okay.
So I was under the impression that he was asleep. I'm assuming this is how it like went, and what he was trying to tell me is that he was asleep by the time she got home, and she sent him a text and said, "Wake me up before you leave." And then he woke her up, and they got in an argument, and then he went to work.
Okay.
That's how I processed.
And the context of that argument again was just she's pregnant. And is there anything else that he shared with you?
He did not elaborate on it, and I didn't ask.
What were you thinking at that time?
This was like on Monday. Again, at that point, I was like, I still thought she left. I mean, this was all on Monday. Like, I legitimately thought this woman left the premises with her kids and just wanted nothing to do with him for like 24 hours.
So his story was believable that she was pregnant from another man and maybe she took off for that guy, or...
He said several times, like, I think she just said that out of spite.
Okay.
Like, he thought she was with one of her friends.
So he held true to that story.
Pretty much.
She's just leaving and she's with a friend.
That was kind of what he thought. And that's kind of what he had me believing. And at the time, I wasn't really alarmed because it had been like a half a day.
Did he tell you about anything that was going on with her? Was she seeing anybody?
He just told me, we're separating. He just said that they really didn't connect very well anymore. She came home really late, I think, that night. And I guess he went to wake her up, and she informed him that the child that she was carrying did not belong to him. I was pretty taken back by that. I just felt kind of disappointed with him, and not with the situation. I mean, if she's pregnant, that's a beautiful thing. So I had to find that out through the media. And I asked him about it yesterday. He kept telling me, he's like, it's not mine. But, I'm sure finding out that the child that your wife is carrying isn't yours was painful. I asked him to tell me the truth, and he kept denying it a few times. I know this child is yours. And I'm like, well, because he kept saying he was just like, I don't want to ruin anything we have, this and this. And I'm like, Chris, you need to not worry about me right now. What you need to worry about is your family. I'm like, all 4 of them. I'm just like, I know that's your child. I'm like, and that's okay. I'm like, you need to put all of your energy right now into focusing on owning them and not anywhere else. And then he finally came clean, and he was like, yeah, it's mine. And I knew. It's like, of course you knew. Come on, how would you not know that your wife is 15 weeks, 4 months pregnant? I mean, seriously. So he told me, and I just, I don't know. I've never I have never felt like he's lied to me. I've always felt like he's been pretty upfront with me this entire time. And then after that happened yesterday, his wife not coming home, I was like, you know what? I wonder if there's more to this story than I know, and it's really hard for me to process this because I think he's a really good guy. And, I'm worried about his wife and kids, really worried about his wife and kids. I don't know where they are. You don't know where they are. Nobody knows where they're at. And it's just freaking me out because those little girls are they're so little, and she's pregnant, and it's where's their mom? Where are these babies? And it makes me sad, and I just felt like I needed to talk to you guys and tell you guys, I'm concerned, I'll help you any way that you guys need help. As far as I know, they didn't even really, argue that much in the first place. They just had different opinions on how to do stuff.
Do you think he had any reason to believe that the child wasn't her? I mean, is there a possibility that she was seeing somebody?
Maybe she's at home all day, right? It would probably be pretty easy for her to have an affair. I don't know.
Nothing that he ever mentioned.
Prior to that?
Yeah.
No.
He never said that she's having an affair or she's spending too much time with so-and-so.
No. I don't even think he would notice. Realistically, it's no one else knew about us. And she's home all day, so that frees up, that much time. So, no. But, he could have been unaware. But, he even said, I think she said it out of spite. I don't even think he took that whole situation seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then he did admit to you that it was his child. He believed it was his child.
later, because I kept asking him, I'm like, he's like, it's not mine.
But then being in that house, I was just like, why? Fix this. Find a way to fix this. Make it work, you know? And I was like trying to push him to do it, and he seemed pretty reluctant to do it. He didn't want to. And I don't know, we were still seeing each other fairly frequently, but I kind of like backed away so we weren't hanging out quite as much, and we were still close, but it was just like I really wanted him to try. Like I wanted to know that he tried and it didn't work, and then he moved on. Not when we were on the phone at one point, he mentioned to me, I can't even believe I have to say this, she left her wedding ring here, and I said something along the lines of, does that mean you two are done? And he was like, oh my God. He said, how much do you think it's worth? And I was like, remember hearing him say that and being like, what the fuck? And I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't even know how to respond to this. And so I was like, I don't know, pawn it, man. And I was just like, I pawn jewelry all the time. I was like, I pawn jewelry a few times. I was like, it's not worth shit, though. And I was like, so I don't know if you really want to do that. And he's like, no, I think I'm going to get it appraised. It's a nice rock. And I was just like, okay. And it was like really awkward.
And that was on Monday?
That was on Monday night. And that, to me, was like, it was kind of strange. And then the Tuesday lying thing, like, I'm telling you, it started like Monday night, him saying that was why I couldn't sleep, because he made the comment about the wedding ring.
Okay.
And then Tuesday, her still not coming home, and then him lying to me, and I was just like, oh my God, my name is about to be like slandered for probably a while. I don't know how long it's going to take to heal, but I would not be surprised if it's going to be hard to go out in public sometimes for a couple of years, and that really hurts me. I'm just like, this is a horrible, horrible thing. Like, how dare you, you know? And people aren't going to understand that. You know, they're going to say, oh, you know, you're the woman that had an affair with this man who took out his whole family. And I take a step back, and it's just like, I didn't know. Like, he's so disgusting. I'm so ashamed of him and everything, and I just, all those little girls, they're so little.
We talked a little bit earlier about getting some help for these things, and we can provide that.
Okay.
At really no cost. Through the state.
One more. We just want to make sure there's resolution.
Absolutely.
That's why we come to you guys to pound it down until there's
I'm
nothing left.
sorry that you're talking again today. I really am. I don't want to put you through any more trauma than you've already been through. There is reasons for everything that we're doing today and what occurred. And I'm sorry. I genuinely am sorry. These are not things that we like to do twice. It's the same thing with other types of victims from other crimes. We want to do it once and we want to be done. Unfortunately, we didn't know yesterday what we know today, and that's why we're here, because we need this video. And I am sorry, because I know it's hard to talk about it. But
it's so sad, and she's pregnant.
And you know, on our end, we didn't.
And they're so cute. They're so little. Like, why? How? I don't even understand how you could like bring yourself to do that to somebody who's like that big. Oh, Jesus.
Take a minute. Do you want to step out for a minute?
No, I just need to chill with my eyes closed for a sec. I still cannot believe this is happening. All right. Let's keep going because we're just getting to the meat of this whole situation.
Let's get to the phone call on Sunday from 9 to 11.
I need to think. I can't even think. Sunday night. I don't even know. I still don't remember what we talked about. Honestly, we talk about so much random stuff. It's so hard to pinpoint some of these things. I don't remember what we talked about. I do remember that was a long phone conversation, though. We probably talked about all sorts of stuff. So the phone conversation, I don't remember what was in the phone conversation. Probably nothing of relevance, to be honest with you, but...
Specifically say where you needed to go on Monday morning?
No. Well, he told me, he said, I gotta go to a site. I gotta go, check out a valve or something where they think that they had a release. Something like that.
There was a conversation that I asked you about between you and Charlotte.
I told her I was hanging out with a guy who had kids.
Okay. Conversation about him having kids. How did that go?
I mean, I don't know. I just told her.
Is it still? Did you delete that, or is it still? We talked about this before, but we didn't talk about the specific context of what that message said regarding to children. So obviously, in the situation that we're looking at now, with the death of 2 children and all the other circumstantial stuff going around in the case, I just want to make sure there was no comments ever made by you regarding, children or dislike of children or love of children, either way. Initially, you drew concern from me when you told me you deleted everything from Chris. I've already told you that. You understand why. There's no question as to why that might cause concern. So if there's anything else that ever comes up, I have it, and then we can just discuss it. Do you understand what I mean? All right. What do you mean by can tell he has a lot to take care of in life? What did you mean when you said that?
He has a mortgage and he has kids.
Okay.
And responsibilities. I mean, he's a father with a house.
You're even saying in here he's all about his kids.
Yeah.
You're referencing that he has 2 kids, and then you don't like that because you want to have that experience with somebody else? Is that what?
I just said I wasn't sure if he was the one that I wanted to be with because he had already done everything.
Okay.
I was like, it would be really nice to kind of have kids and have my own marriage and all of that stuff. That was never anything I conveyed to him.
So you said he's handsome, huh? Did you send her a picture?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not attached here. Mm-hmm. Is that because do you think from what you deleted?
I think it's from when I deleted all my photos of his stuff. But you guys can just pull everything off that phone.
As long as you're okay with that, that would be my preference.
That makes your life easier.
Well, it's not just about making it easier, it's just less. So if there's any question, because somebody else was the one who told me about Charlotte and this message. So I've never read this.
That's probably why.
When the district attorney is asked about the cyber stalking the mistress did on Chris and Shanann, he says it is not a typographical error in the report. The detectives are reporting what was contained in the data from her phone. I don't know the answer to the question of why or how those dates ended up on her phone. When you ask me if I have verified that information, the answer to your question is no. Nicole Kessinger told us that she met and started the relationship with the defendant in 2018. So where that anomaly in the data comes from, I can't answer it for you. I don't know the answer to it.
What did that cause you to do with your phone, though?
Oh, what? When I deleted those? I was just kind of grossed out by him, to be honest with you. I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now, but you just lied to me, and I don't want to see this come over my phone anymore. So I removed it.
So you already said, but you removed text messages?
I deleted all of his stuff.
She originally came forward and spoke to investigators on her own volition. Prior to the time, unfortunately, that she came in and spoke with investigators, she had deleted all of the information off of her phone that had any connection between her and Chris Watts. That hampered the investigation. That hampered our ability to get that electronic digital connection between the two. She was interviewed on multiple occasions. I believe that for the most part she was forthcoming in the course of those investigations. We don't have any reason to believe that she had any prior knowledge or involvement in the death of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico. I think that's the best way I can answer that.
Woman who had an affair with Chris Watts told our partners at the Denver Post that she hardly knew anything about Shanann and that she had only recently started a relationship with Chris. Well, there's now evidence to suggest that she knew about Shanann almost a year before the murders.
Contact 7 investigates Jace Larson here in the studio with that part of this grim story. Jace?
Yeah, guys, police interviewed Nicole Kissinger, the other woman. She came forward to police about the same time that Watts' employer, Anna Darko, had found emails indicating a relationship between the two. This is Nicole Kissinger and Chris Watts on a secret trip together the month before he killed his family. The two took pictures and videos during their secret time together in July. Nicole later talked to police.
And then one day he told me that he had 2 kids. I was like, that's pretty cool. And started telling me about his kids.
That sounded like a sarcastic comment.
No, I thought it was kind of cute. I was like, oh, he's a dad. It was like right around Father's Day, too.
She learned he was married, even though she says he didn't wear a wedding ring.
The thing is he was never hostile. It was never anything aggressive. Like, even when he spoke of his wife and the fact that they were separating, it was never, like, ill. It was still very kind. It was just like, this is not working.
The other woman claims she met Watts in June. She says she thought Watts was at the end of his divorce proceedings.
I didn't know his significant other's name for a while. And then I think he told me his kids' names pretty quick.
But police had found her internet searches from the year before. Kissinger searched the name Shanann Watts in September of 2017. By this June, Watts was hiding photos in a phone app that looked like a calculator.
I mean, he just told me, he's like, we're house broke all the time. I was just like, that's unfortunate. And I asked him, I was like, do you have 401k? And he was like, yeah. And I mean, the reason I ask him this is because if I get in a relationship with somebody, I want to know, like, what kind of baggage that they have. I think that's important.
Kissinger says even looking back now, knowing she says that he lied to her, she didn't see all of this coming.
Some of Nicole's other Google searches included, can cops trace text messages? How long do phone companies keep text messages? Can you get printouts of text messages? Difference between text message content and text message detail. She also Googled wedding dresses for 2 hours and also a few searches related to Amber Frey. Do people hate Amber Frey? Amber Frey book deal? Amber Frey's net worth?
And to this day, even after everything that I found out, I still look back at that and I don't see any red lights with the way that he spoke of his family.
Nicole Kissinger did cooperate with police. She says she went to them when she started suspecting that Watts was behind his family's disappearance.
There are quite a few people who would tell us, and who do tell us, you need to look into Nikki more, Nikki Kissinger. All the way from the extreme end of things being, Nikki's the one who ordered the hit.
She was there. I'm in the basement.
She was there. You know, so the extreme is she's the one who told Chris to do it. She's the real problem. All the way, that's the extreme side, and then all the way to, well, there were these texts where she was infatuated, she was in love, she was saying how good Chris was in the sack, and maybe we should look at her more. You know, what would you say to those people?
You know, she had her moments where I had to talk her like off a ledge kind of deal.
What does that mean?
Like, I guess after the fact, there was like videos of her that she was like recording herself because she was like bipolar or something. I never do that. But it's like, and she would get worked up about nothing. She would just like, she came to my house once because I think it was like July 4th. I didn't have to work that day. So I didn't like get up at like, 4 o'clock and go home. Mm-hmm. And Shanann called me like 10 times in a row. And I didn't hear it because I was asleep. And she was pissed. Shanann was pissed. And like I called her outside, like, where are you at? Like, what? Like, I was like, I didn't have to work today. It's like, you called me at like 5:30. It's like, well, kids want to talk to you at 7:30. I'm like I was sleeping. She's like, screw you. Like, like I don't know where you're at. And I went back inside. Something like, I gotta go. And she was just like, okay, are you coming back? I'm like, probably not.
So wait a minute, you kind of lost me there. Were you at Nikki's place when Shanann called you?
Yeah.
Okay, and so you were sleeping in her bed.
Yeah, because I wasn't going to work that day because I didn't have to that day. Okay. The first holiday I ever had it off. And, Shanann was pissed and, it kind of pissed Nikki off too that I left. But I think that's when I called Nikki later and she was like, she kind of realized that, she'd always be like, the second, she said second fiddle, I think. And because that's how I probably would come back that day. Just, I don't want to be anywhere else when Shanann calls. She was already pissed. So it was stuff like that where she would she said she would go on like websites and look at like, will a relationship work with somebody? Like, will a mistress work? Will a mistress turn into a relationship? She told me that. And she said that she would go on websites and look at stuff like that. I was like, why do you even look at stuff like that? She's like, I just want to see what other people have experienced.
But like, so that confuses me though, because I thought earlier you were saying she thought you were heading toward a divorce. So why was she looking at herself as a mistress?
This was later on.
Oh.
Like, in August, like the first week of August, when I told her, like, I had that talk with her about separation. That's when, like, she started looking at, like, apartments and stuff. But, like, during our July relationship type thing there.
Oh, I see.
That's when she was looking up, like, will it actually work. So after that, she left me alone for a couple of days. And she texted me outside in the field. And then after that, we just kept texting back and forth. And it was just, just like she used to work in a little rig out in North Dakota, I think. And we just kind of trading stories back and forth about what we did and everything. And then one day it just kind of went to a different level. And then I never thought I would ever go to that level. But she was talking about meeting up after we got back from San Diego. Yeah, we were in San Diego from the 22nd to the 26th of June. And we met up after we got back. And
how did you guys meet up?
At a park in Thornton. Thornton somewhere. And after that, we just kept seeing each other pretty much the whole month of July.
When you guys were meeting, was it just kind of very initiatory, like flirting at first? Okay. From both sides?
Yeah. They were just kind of like feeling each other out. It's kind of like
texts, any calls?
More near the end of June, because we called each other before I left to go to San Diego. I just thought it was just flirting. I didn't think it was actually like something that would actually happen.
Yeah. Well, it's totally natural, right? I mean, everyone kind of flirts at work, right?
I wish I was out in the field more instead of at the office. If I was a rover, I'd be more out in the field. And instead of like coming to the office, it gave me more time to run into her, pretty much.
What did she know about you? Did she know you were married first?
She did. Once I showed her the pictures on my phone, on like the home screen picture and everything. So it was just my girls right there, but my wife was the lock screen. So she knew I was married with my kids.
Are you aware that she said she didn't know you were married?
I figured it was just trying to save face. I just hope she can I'm not there's normalcy for her, since she's on the outside, but I'm hoping it can get that way at some point. I'm not sure if she had to leave Colorado or not, but I'm sure that would have been hard if she did. I know Anadarko was her dream job, so that's one thing I always asked my attorneys is did she have to leave? Did she have to do anything at work? Because that was one thing. So she always told me that was her dream job. So I know when I was with Nikki, it was different. I wasn't even in the realm of I'm a dad, I'm a husband type thing. And then like I was saying, when I'm never at home, sleeping in my own bed, and I have no concept of that anymore. If I wasn't sleeping on my own, I think there was at one point, Nikki had gone to the mountains with her friends for a few days, into June, first part of July. And then that part, obviously I was at home. But from that whole month of July on, it was I was never at home. I never had all those reminders around me. I never had, every time my wife would call me, I would be at Nikki's house.
Oh. While she was in North Carolina?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would walk outside and talk to her when I was next to the car or something like that. I would never be at home looking just have all these pictures around me, just being in the same bed, seeing my kids in bed, seeing everything that that we built for the last 6 years.
Did you love her?
I felt like it was true.
Yeah. I think so too. I think it was the same from her.
The first time I was with Nikki, I felt weird. First time,
Sure.
And then the last time I was with Shanann, I felt totally strange. I was I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I had become. I felt like I become people I see on TV. and that did not feel right with me. Like I didn't know what had happened to me. So Nikki even asked me, like, have you done this before? Have you go straight away? I'm like, I've never even thought about it. It's like, what's different? It's like, I guess it's just you that's different, because I've just never actually, like, I've seen girls smile at me before, never done anything about it. With her, it was just like, it's like she had a leash on me and she tugged me away. As soon as she walked, I'm like, heck, what's going on? Just something in my head was just like, something was hurting. Just like I had to say something. So when I woke her up, and it's like, hey, we just gotta talk. And I told her, I don't feel compatible. I don't feel like this is gonna work. I just, I don't wanna, like, can we cancel the trip to Aspen? And she had booked a trip that week. And I was just like, can we cancel that? Can we, like, do something? Like, from what I remember, I even said, can we move to Brighton? Just to get away from, like, this house. Oh. But, like, I'm not sure if that was, like in the beginning or the end of part of the conversation or whatnot. It was pretty much just, like, I had gotten dressed for work, and then, like, we started talking. It was just anger. It was just, like, like there was no love there. It was kind of like what we were saying, what she was saying. It was just like, it's almost like we knew, like, something was combating at each other. We didn't know, like, it wasn't ourselves. I think it was more anger from me and more like desperation from her because she wanted to fix it. Yeah. She knew if something wasn't right. Like, that conversation was so many different ways. Like, they had gone from, like, staying together to not staying together to just, like, all the above. It's like, she's got, mascara. She didn't wash her face when she got home. She had makeup on still, so mascara was running all over her and stuff like that. And yeah, it was nothing about that conversation. I just wish I could take all of it back. Just the whole Nikki thing, back everything. But
so then when did it turn?
As far as that conversation, just at the end when I was telling her, like, I told her I didn't love her anymore. That's when it happened.
What happened?
She told me to get off her, and then I put my hands on it. Because, like, when I was straddling her, it was kind of like around her waist type deal.
Why did you get on her like that?
I just, when we got on the bed, that's just when I got on. I felt like, she could probably listen to me just laying beside her, but I got on top of her. And every time I think about it, I'm just like, did I know I was going to do that before I got on top of her? I don't know. Just like, everything that happened that morning, I don't know, like, I try to go back in my head, I'm just like, I didn't want to do this, but I did it. Everything just kind of like, it just felt like it was, I don't even want to say it felt like I had to. It just felt like there was already something in my mind that was implanted that I was going to do it, and I woke up that morning and it was going to happen, and I had no control of it. Like in the sentencing hearing, that prosecutor said it takes 2 to 4 minutes for something like that to happen. Like, why couldn't I just let go? I didn't.
Oh, that's interesting.
Can I just let
Was
go?
it feeling like it was in motion and you just couldn't stop it?
Yeah, it was just like, I don't even want to know what she saw when she looked back at me, honestly.
Did you look at her? What was she doing?
She wasn't fighting.
Why do you think she wasn't fighting?
I don't know, maybe she was praying, maybe she was just... Now I read the Bible, it said, or the scripture says, forgive these people for they do not know what they do. Mm-hmm. Maybe she was saying that. I don't know what she was saying in her head, but she, like when you guys told me, like, take off your shirt and check for defensive wounds, and there wasn't going to be any. She didn't fight. I don't know why.
If she didn't could she grab your arms, or were her arms pinned down, or?
Not that I remember. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think, like, I moved toward my knees or around her arms or anything, but it was just kind of like when I got on top of her, we started talking. That was it. It's kind of like in my head, or like in the back of my head, that was going to happen. And just like at the end of the conversation, it was just like, I just wish I could have let go. I just felt like time was standing still. It's kind of like I just saw my life just disappearing before my eyes, but I just, like, I couldn't let go. It was like somebody else, like if you picture somebody else around you, holding your hands, holding you, keep you from not letting go.
He played sports from the time he was 5 years old up until he was 17. And he was in basketball, he was in baseball, he was in football, and loved NASCAR. He and his dad went to the NASCAR races all the time. Loved sports. And he was a good kid. Had two best friends, and that's who he grew up with, and still are friends with them today. And there's nothing that would have predicted any of this could have ever happened. Nothing in his childhood at all. I would have never in a million years thought something like this could happen to him at all.
You didn't see things like him getting into fights? Or...
No fighting. He was quiet, and he got along with people, and he didn't start anything, and he was a perfect teenager, tell you the truth. He did not even rebel. He wanted to go to NASCAR Tech. We made that possible for him. He worked at the dealership as a service technician and was making good money and loved it. He bought a toolbox, and he started buying his tools and enjoyed it. He was doing well. He's got one speeding ticket and didn't even know about that. He's not the sociopath next door. He's not the psychopath. He didn't kill little small animals. He didn't do any of these things. He was a good child. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything that was abnormal about him, except he was socially awkward. You know, he had trouble socializing, but so did I when I was younger. I think you learn that as you grow, and I think he felt a little bit more comfortable in his skin, and he just, I don't think he just had the right person at his side.
So how did you know Shanann and Chris?
Me and Chris have been best friends for almost 25, 30 years. So I've been in and out of their lives quite a bit over the years. I've met Shanann on multiple occasions. I've met their daughters multiple occasions, and me and Chris would stay in contact via a phone call or a text message, or if we would go see each other.
Grew up together then?
We did.
Okay. So did you live in North Carolina then?
Yes.
Okay. What takes you out?
I believe when, I'm in the Navy, so I got stationed out here in
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When's the last time you talked to Chris?
I talked to him, I think it was Tuesday before that Wednesday he had confessed. And it was just through a text message. But that was the last time I had contacted him.
Did you initiate that, or did he?
I initiated it.
Okay. And was there like a back and forth conversation, or how did that go?
No, it was just me basically saying, I hope he's okay, I hope the family's okay, that I knew he was busy and he's probably got a lot going on, and that if he needed to speak to me or if he needed anyone to talk to, he could let me know. And then he just reached back and said, thanks, man, and yeah, he's been busy, and that was it. Before that, right off the top of my head, it was also a text message, and it was about, I want to say, a week and a half before this incident happened. Again, it was just through text message. And I was basically telling him, like, hey, man, reach out to me, like, talk to me. And he would text me back, but he never called me, or we never saw each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that unusual?
No, I just knew he was busy. I just knew he had a lot of things going on. Just because the things that were going on with the family at the time, I could tell, like, he was busy. And I knew. I didn't press him. I didn't put any pressure on him. I just letting him know I'm here to talk if you need to talk. And,
okay.
Yeah. And he said he would. He just didn't reach out.
Okay. And just for my clarification, this is the text message before they went missing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what kind of family things were going on?
I just knew that Shanann and his mom, Cindy, were fighting again because Cindy had called me and told me that they had started fighting again. And I kind of was a little upset with Chris because I text Chris and just let him know, like, hey, man, this has got to stop. Like, you know, I'm tired of hearing this. And he reached back to me and said he understood, he knew what was going on, and he kind of clued me in on him and Shanann are going to separate and get a divorce. And that's when I told him, like, well, I'm here if you need to talk, man. And he said he would reach out to me some more, but he never really did after that.
Okay. Yeah. What were Shanann and Cindy fighting about?
She said that, and this is coming from Cindy, that Cece had a food allergy to chocolate, and I guess Cece ate a whole bowl of Hershey Kisses, and Shanann came into the living room and was just yelling at Cindy and, you know, telling her she's trying to kill her baby or something like that because of the food allergy. And Cindy had no idea, and she claimed she had no idea about it. And they had this huge argument, and she ended up kicking Shanann out of the house, telling her, you know, to leave. And then shortly after that, Cindy called me crying and afraid because she was afraid she had just lost Chris, that, you know, Shanann was going to, you know, turn Chris against her, like what has happened in the past. And that's when I just text Chris, like, hey, man, like, what's going on, dude? And yeah.
Okay. You said that in the past Shanann's turned Chris against Cindy. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so right around the time when they were engaged, I believe, Chris and Shanann were engaged, this huge fight between Cindy, Jamie, and Shanann was taking place, and they all felt like Shanann was trying to turn Chris against the family, and for a little bit there, Chris was on Shanann's side, you know, not really defending his family. But I guess over the course of a year or two, they ended up patching things up, and they finally made amends, and they had back to a talking relationship again. And then this happened, and so it was like we were basically going back to square one.
So could you tell was Chris taking Shanann's side again in the fight about the food allergy thing?
Yeah, so Cindy did say that Chris initially was on Shanann's side, like he was upset with his family. But then out of nowhere, Cindy did text me or call me again and say that Chris has decided to separate from Shanann.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, like, it was Chris, he was even telling me during the text messages that he had seen the true side of Shanann and that he doesn't want to be with her anymore. And so we were like, okay. And that's what I was like, hey, man, I'm here if you want to talk. You know, I understand this is going to be a big process, so just let me know, man. And he said he would, but he never reached out.
Do you know what he meant by that when he said he saw the true side of Shanann?
I didn't ask because I didn't feel like it was my position to dig, but I had assumed that he had seen, because for years his family has always assumed that Shanann has been pretty shady. And I never really saw it, but they all had reason to believe that she was very, very, there was something about her. And Chris said he had finally seen whatever his family had seen. He had finally seen that side of her. And yeah.
Do you know what it was that the family was seeing in her?
She was just, this is what they were telling me, is that she was very shady. She had a dark past, like, I don't know, like sleeping with her old boss, and even while she was seeing Chris, and money issues with her boss. She was just very conniving, and that was what they were telling me. Now, when I saw Shanann, I didn't see any of that. Like, she was always very pleasant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you never had any issues with Shanann?
No, I mean, I never saw that side. I didn't really trust her just because of a lot of things that were being said.
Right.
Yeah, but I never actually physically saw anything.
Okay. So he never really gave specifics about what he saw or the reason he was wanting to separate?
He did not. I was basically letting him know about the conversation that I had with his mother, just cluing him in on what his mom was saying about Shanann, and he was not really confirming it, but confirming it that, yeah, I've seen that part of Shanann, but he never said exactly what he saw. He just said, I've seen that side of her, I've seen the true side of her, and I'm done.
Okay.
I was like, okay.
In your conversations with Chris recently, have you noticed any change in him?
No, just in his eyes, I could tell he looked stressed. He looked wore out. But he's always been Chris. He's never been anything but that. Like, no signs of dark side to him or anything. Chris has always been a nice guy. Always been a good guy. He's been a great friend. Even when I saw them in San Diego, Chris was still Chris. Like, he was your average, typical Chris.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
I believe that was in June. Came down for a trip, for a company trip. And
okay.
They only stayed for like a weekend, but I went down to see him one day.
So what was your opinion of Shanann then?
Initially, I liked her. I remember when Chris first met her, he was so excited about it, and I was excited for him. But over the years, like I said, the family had really, Chris's family had really had an issue with her, and she had an equal issue with his family, and it's just kind of, I started to get the uneasy feeling that they were getting. But again, like, I never really saw anything that they were seeing, because I think they were more close to her than I was. I was just Chris's friend, and they're the family. They're on that constant form of contact. But for me, every time I was there, I went to their house, or they would come see me, or we would text or talk. Like, they were always good. They always seemed fine. And Shanann never really exhibited anything that they were claiming, but there was always, after a while, there was that uneasy feeling about her. Like, something has to be there if everyone's got such a problem with it.
Okay, but you never saw anything yourself?
But I never actually saw it.
Okay. Did Chris ever tell you about any of those things that he also saw in her that her family was talking about?
He did not.
Okay.
And again, I didn't press, because I didn't want to, dig into his personal life.
Right.
Chris, he has always been a quiet guy. He only opens up to the people that he's comfortable with. He's the type of guy that would do anything for you. He'd bend over backwards for you, and he's been there for me multiple times when I went through issues with relationships or whatever. Like, Chris is, he's been a brother to me, big time, and I still love him as a brother. Like, this all comes as a shock, but still, like, Chris is a good guy, and the way the media is painting him out to be that's not Chris at all. And he loved his daughters very, very much.
Did you ever know him to have a temper?
I've never seen a mean side to Chris ever.
Okay. So obviously he would come to you and talk to you when he was having issues in his life. What other ways did he have, that to deal with conflict or issues in his life?
For these past couple years, him and I haven't really talked much. I would say like the past 3 or 4 years, but if he was truly going through something serious, he definitely would have reached out to me. But I know he also had support wherever he was in Colorado. There was also his friend base that he had in Colorado that I'm sure he probably reached out to them more than he did with me. But ultimately, his whole, to my understanding, his whole routine was basically just go to work and take care of the girls.
Do you know who his friends are here in Colorado?
I do not.
Okay.
I've never met any of them.
Okay. How about any other friends of his that you know of that we could talk to?
Off the top of my head, I honestly don't know.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of the people he knew, Shanann had known.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said that a lot of the people that Chris knew, Shanann knew. They were Shanann's friends.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Is there anything else that you think we should know about either Chris or Shanann or their relationship or the girls or anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Or anybody else that you think we should be talking to?
I'm sure you guys have already reached out to his family or his sister. And
Yeah, we're in.
Okay. Then, yeah, I think that would pretty much cover it, unless you guys could track down whoever his friends were in Colorado.
Okay.
like the friends of their families. I don't know who they were friends with, but
okay.
During the early stages in the investigation when Shanann and the girls were missing, it appears Leonard King, Shanann's first husband, was interviewed by CBI. The interview reads as follows. I spoke with Leonard King by phone on August 15th, 2018. He had heard about the case in which Shanann and her children were missing. Leonard reported that he and Shanann married in 2002 and divorced in 2008 in South Carolina. They had no children from their marriage together and have not communicated in over 10 years, he estimated. Leonard reported that he and Shanann took out life insurance policies when they were married around 2004 through USAA. They were large policies, $250,000 or $500,000. After the divorce, Leonard kept his but changed it to $100,000 and changed the beneficiary. He assumed that Shanann kept her policy and would have changed the beneficiary. Leonard denied that he currently had any policies out on her life. Leonard does not believe the divorce decree addressed the life insurance policies. Leonard's current wife dabbled in Thrive, which was the same employment as Shanann Watts. Leonard had heard that Shanann was really involved in Thrive. Leonard actually did not know Shanann's last name until a few years ago. He learned off this case from social media and news. He had already been in contact with NBC News. Leonard agreed to share my contact information with his wife for her to call if she knew anything about Shanann, possibly through Thrive. I asked Leonard about his relationship with Shanann. When their marriage was not going well, Shanann poured herself into work, worked a lot, and stopped coming home at night. Leonard was unable to get details from her. Shanann would stay gone, but he was never concerned that something happened to her. Leonard knew that Shanann first worked with cell phones when he met her. She then worked in Charlotte, North Carolina for a Middle Eastern guy that owned a tire and wheel business called Dirty South. She was the store manager. Leonard had heard that Shanann left her cell phone at home. He said that she used it constantly when he knew her, and she was very well attached to it. He also states he knew nothing of Shanann's current husband other than what he saw on the news. He said that people liked Shanann. She was a compelling personality. Shanann was in high school when Leonard first met her. She got along with people. I asked about Shanann's skills in conflict resolution. He said that he was very interested in marriage counseling, and they went to a couple sessions, but it was virtually impossible to engage Shanann in conversation. Once she was done, she cut herself off from him. At home, they would be in different rooms, and she was always too busy for what Leonard had going on. She was not confrontational and more withdrew. As in any investigation, every tip needs to be pursued and explored, just like the gentleman who claims to have spoken with Shanann that spring before her death.
All right. Well, thanks for contacting us.
Sure. Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that we're talking about the same people here.
Yeah.
So you recognize those two?
I do. Well, I don't recognize him. I recognize him from, TV.
From the news. Okay.
But I recognize her 100%.
Okay.
100%.
And where did you say that you saw her?
So I was at Mount Fuji. Did you want me to go into?
Yeah. Do you remember when this was?
And that's a question I've been racking in my brain. I would like to say we took our baby moon in April.
Okay.
And I can go through my credit card statements because I remember that I paid for the meal that night, me and my wife. April,
okay.
I want to say.
Okay.
I could be totally off the mark.
No, that's fine.
It could be March. It could be May.
Sure.
I don't think it's May, though.
Okay. So probably
it's
March
April
or
earlier. Yeah.
Okay. And that was this year?
It was definitely this year.
Okay. You remember what day of the week it was by chance?
It was a weekend. It was either Friday night. I think it was a Friday or Saturday night.
So is this like a regular hibachi place where several people sit around the same table and the chef does his thing?
You see with complete strangers.
Okay.
And the chef does the whole magic thing.
Sure, yeah. Flips the shrimp and all that
That's
good
right.
stuff. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's what it was.
All right. Was she sitting at the table with you guys?
Yeah, we were sitting. So when you walk into Mount Fuji, no matter what direction you're coming from, the restaurant will face you this way.
Okay.
When you walk in, to the left side is the bar.
Okay.
To the right side is the hibachi. We have about 10 different hibachi tables.
Okay.
We were seated at the same one where I found out my wife was having the boy.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's the one when you walk in, it's the very last one by the window on the side. Me and my wife sat down first. Shannon and a friend sat next to us.
Okay. Do you remember what her friend looked like?
Yes. Her friend, I don't remember her hair color. White female. Distinct eyes. I don't remember the color of her eyes. Maybe, I think what stood out was either they were super bright or a little bit big, but she had distinct eyes. Shannon was wearing blue jeans with a blouse, like the color of that blouse would be something like this.
Okay, kind of a orange rust.
Orangey, but very light orange.
Okay.
Faded orange,
okay,
if you will. I just turned to them and I said, "Well, hello there." And the friend was the first to respond. I said, "Hello." And I said, "First time here?" And they said, "I think Shannon was sitting next to me. Her friend was on the other side." I said, "Yes, this was the first time there." I said, "It's not." They asked us if it was our first time. I said, "No, it's not our first time." And somehow, somewhere, I don't know how it happened, but I found out that her friend was actually just visiting from North Carolina. And I said, "Wait a minute now." I said, "That's my home state." And she said, "No way." I said, "Yeah, I used to live in Charlotte." And she said, "You gotta be kidding." That she used to live in a town called Gastonia. And she proceeded to tell me about how her house got broken into when she lived in Gastonia. This is the friend.
Okay.
She had an alarm system. She said, I said, "Well, I have an alarm system. If something sometimes I open the door inadvertently and the police are already calling me and saying, 'Hey, I'm coming to your house.'" And she said, no. She said, by the time she got back to the house, in a matter of 2 minutes, the burglar done what he needed to do and taken off. So I said, "Oh, okay." So it was, and I said, "Well, you should sue somebody." I brought it up, like, And then she was like, "What do you do for a living?" And I said, "Well, I sue people." So we kind of laughed about it. Shannon hears that. I mean, she's in on this conversation the whole time. And she hears that and she's like, "You're a lawyer?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." She said, "What type of law do you do?" I said, "Everything but family law." And she said, "Why don't you do family law?" And I said, because I hate family law. I said, "I've been through a divorce before in family court, and it's just a nightmare."
Yeah.
She said, "Really? Well, tell me more about that." So I'm telling her about how I got divorced here. Ex-wife moved with 3 kids to Tennessee. How I fought for the kids and how I spent so much money fighting for the kids. In the end, she moved with the kids, and I see my girls, but it's a burden going back and forth. And then I believe it's Shannon who said to me, she had gotten divorced before, is what she said. She said I said, "Were there any kids in that marriage?" And she said, "No, there were no kids." She said, "I think the guy is an attorney too, her ex-husband." She said,
what?
Her ex-husband
is what?
He's an attorney.
Okay.
She said she brought him up. I said, "What do you mean by that?" She said, "While she worked and busted her tail, he was going to school." And then I said, "So what happened with the divorce?" She said, "Well, the lawyer in the divorce, in her view, in Shannon's view, made out with so much money." And I said, well, that's kind of how it works. I mean, nobody wins. The lawyers are the ones that are going to get paid. And then she said, well, so tell me more about your divorce with the girls, involving the girls. And I said, well, that's it. She ended up moving to Tennessee, and she's asking me, she's like, what's the law in Colorado when a divorce happens? And I said, well, in Colorado we have something called the spammer. It's called the spammer doctrine. And I told her about it. The spammer doctrine is, it says, a judge cannot tell you or the woman to stay in Colorado. The judge has no power to tell you where to live. What the judge can do, though, is say, you get to keep the kids, or you get to keep the kids. But the judge cannot say, you have to stay here. We're going to give you custody of the kids, but then you have to stay here. So she says, so let's, for example, if somebody gets divorced, they can move away with the kids. I said, well, that's exactly what happened to me. I said, do you have kids? She said, yes, 2 girls. I said, okay, how old are they? She told me their ages. You thinking about a divorce? I mean, is that why you're asking me this? And her friend kind of smiled. Shannon smiles, but I did not get an answer to that question.
Have a good weekend.
And so I kind of let that kind of die away. We ate our food. We finished eating. We were the last, I remember this very well, we were the last set of customers. Oh, I forgot to tell you, sorry. Another party joined us at that table. A man and a woman. And the son lives here now. Mother was visiting from Minnesota. So I remember this very distinctly. We were the last people to leave the restaurant. Matter of fact, the waiter kept coming back over and saying, you guys need boxes, kind of like saying, hey,
beat it.
You gotta go, So,
remember what time you got to the restaurant?
I know they stopped sitting people at 8:45.
Okay.
We had to have gotten there about 8:30.
Okay.
They closed at 9:30, I think, on the weekends. So when we got up, Shannon came to me again. My wife is talking to the mother and son from Minnesota and Shannon's friend. She comes to me again and says, is that really the law in Colorado, that it's possible that the court can give the child to the man? And I said, yeah. I said, what screwed me over was that I'm an attorney. Attorneys work long hours. Judges know that. A reasonable judge is not going to say, I'm going to take the kids from a woman that doesn't have a job, that's home full time, and give it to the guy, no matter how well-meaning that guy is. What the court can do, though, is, as they did for me, give me all the breaks, financial breaks, access to the kids, all that stuff. But ultimately, they'll give it to the woman. I said, but I have seen cases where the guy's not a lawyer. The guy works, 30 hours a week. And you tell the court, I'm trying to move the kids to North Carolina. The court could tell you, look, North Carolina is so far that it could destroy the relationship between father and children. You can go if you want. Kids go to daddy. They stay here. And so she's like, really? I said, yeah. I said, that's the law. It's called the spammer doctrine. I said, look it up. I said, but I've seen cases where because of that, the mother says, okay, I'm not moving away anymore. I'm going to stay. I'm not going to go. Because they see that the court is going to give the children to the dad. And then I said, I said, I don't do family law. I know people who are really good family law attorneys. If you need one, just let me know, And she asked my information. I didn't have a card at the time. If you ever need anything, give me a call. She also asked me, we had to do that first divorce that she had. She said, I don't remember. You had to do that first divorce though. And so when we went outside, and she said to me again, she said, why is divorce really a messy process? Is family law really a messy place? And I said, I always tell people, whatever you can do, I know now, my wife that I'm with now, unless I see a guy texting her on her phone or something, whatever the difference is between us, we're gonna work it out. Yeah, because it's a messy process. And she said, really? I said, yeah. I said, you've been through it. She said, yes, but I went through it without children. I said, okay, yeah. Without children, no problem. It's just wash your hands clean. If you have kids, it's a messy process. And she said, okay, that's all I remember. I record certain programs, like Nightline. Sometimes I'll press play, listen to what it's gonna cover for like 2 minutes. If I don't like it, I'll delete it. So one of those episodes, I didn't even know anything. I had heard that some guy had killed his wife in Colorado. Whatever. It happens every day. My wife's upstairs. I'm downstairs. I press play on the DVR. Up comes Shannon's picture. I don't even remember where I threw the remote. I'm screaming. Everyone upstairs and I'm yelling at my wife. Turn the TV on, turn the TV on. So she turns it on upstairs. I tell her, go to this episode of Nightline. She turns it on. I said, do you know that woman? And she's like, vaguely, Hibachi. She's like, maybe is this the woman that you were talking to at the Hibachi place? And I'm screaming, yes, that's her. My wife doesn't remember as much as I do. But I remember, I talked to her. I had told her at the time, when we were talking that day, I said, you can feel free to ask me anything you want to ask me personally, but you have to understand, it's not going to be privileged, because your friend's here. If it's just me and you one-on-one, I would take that as attorney-client privilege. It's your privilege. You own it. I told her that. She said, really? I said, yeah. She said, it's your privilege. I said, but we can't, anything I tell you here is open. And she said, well, this is one of my best friends ever, so you can feel free to say whatever you say. So that's why I'm able to talk about it. It's not privilege. Sure. But that's, to me, what I walked away from at that day was just, to me, personally, that woman really wanted to ask me some deeper questions about divorce. She couldn't do it where she was. I didn't think anything of it. I meet people all the time who say, you're a lawyer, can I pick your brain? Happens 3-4 times a week. Yeah, sure. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I get that a lot but when I saw the news, I'm going, I don't know what happened. That woman talked to me about divorce though. Yeah. And she seemed very curious about Colorado law on divorce that involves children.
What was her demeanor like during dinner? Was she happy? Were they laughing?
Very sweet lady. She told me this too. Oh yeah, she told me that she had some type of medical condition. That when she had one of the babies, I think first or second one, she had to be on bed rest for a long time because she had some kind of medical. Now I asked my wife about that. I said, do you remember what it was? And my wife said that she doesn't remember, but to her, she thinks it was lupus. That's what my wife said. I don't remember what it was. I just know she told me about that medical condition. And she even told me what pill she was taking for it. And I remember telling my wife, like, yeah, it's a little bit TMI. How would you tell anybody what I take for? And my wife was like, most people talk. Most Americans talk. Yeah. They're very open. But I remember that. Yeah.
Did you see him get into a car?
No. I was driving Discovery, Range Rover Discovery, a gray one, which was parked right in front of the restaurant. So I didn't see them get into a car.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
All right. And just to confirm, it's just those two, no kids, no husbands?
No kids, no husbands.
With them,
no.
Like that.
No, I remember, I don't know if I asked her where the kids were. And if she said they were either with the grandparents or with the husband. I don't remember her answer to that question. But I remember asking her that. And I remember Shannon saying, I asked if they were going to have more kids. And I think she said, I hope I'm not getting confused. Her friend may have said this or she may have said it. Somebody had said that the husband wanted a boy. And so she can't guarantee that they won't have another one. But I could swear her friend said she had no kids. Okay. So that had to have come from Shannon. But I remember because I told her, I said, well, if you went through such a pain for one of those pregnancies, why would you have another one? She said, yeah, I think he wants a boy though. So we might have that number 3. I think it's Shannon. Okay. I think it's Shannon. Yeah, but I don't remember which child put her on significant bed rest. If it was the first or second one. Couldn't tell you that. One of them did though. I remember that.
Any other medical conditions that she talked about that you remember?
No. I still don't remember the exact condition. My wife thinks it was lupus. I don't know. But she definitely told us about that condition. Yeah.
What about alcohol? Did she drink any alcohol, you remember?
I don't know. I know the guy, the son with the woman from Minnesota. I know they drank. I know they ordered a drink. We didn't order a drink. Those guys they squirt sake in a plastic bottle. I know I had it. Don't know if she had it though. Don't know. I know we didn't order drinks.
Yeah, no wine glass you remember on the table or anything like that.
One of them may have ordered a drink. One. Her friend, her. I don't think I saw her drinking though. I don't know. Yeah. I just remember walking away from that conversation going, that woman wanted to tell me more about it. She wanted to ask me more about it. Divorce. She couldn't do it. For whatever reason. It was late.
Obviously it was on her mind.
It was definitely, I as a litigator, I get half of my paycheck comes from being able to read witnesses. I could tell. She had those thoughts. Yeah. Okay. But she didn't explicitly say, I want to get a divorce from her husband. But she was asking me more questions than a normal person would ask just sitting to an attorney at a restaurant.
More than just a conversation.
Yes, it was. I mean, we were separated at the end when we were standing up.
Yeah.
When the guy had taken, you put your credit cards into the thing, they went to swipe them. Everybody was standing up. Me and her were separate. One-on-one. My wife, the couple from Minnesota, and her friend were talking. Her and I were talking. And then when we went outside, the mother and son from Minnesota had left. It was me, my wife, her, and her friend. And my wife was obviously, again, I think she was getting impatient. It was still me and Shannon talking. Yeah. Her friend didn't really say much, other than telling me about how the guy broke into her house in North Carolina. Yeah. I remember that. So when I saw that picture, then I started reading up on the story, and I'm going, all right, I could stay silent. Nobody would know what I know. I could let you guys know. Yeah. What's it gonna hurt? Yeah. Let me just put it out there. And whatever you want to do with it, whatever help you guys need from me, how can I provide it?
So, I appreciate that. Yeah. See if we can track down this other friend in North Carolina.
Yep. I remember that very well. I mean, I mean, we were talking about what I call my home state.
Sure.
Yeah. She didn't talk about him.
Did she ever mention her husband's name at all that you remember?
No. Didn't mention him at all. I just know the divorce thing. I mean, she was so interested in that topic. She was also interested in. She actually asked me. She had said. She has said, your ex-wife didn't bring you off too, did she? I said, no, I brought her up because I think she was still a little bit aggrieved about that first guy, because she said, I worked and he went to school. He worked his way up based on my efforts. And I said, but some people are unappreciative when now you've got 2 beautiful kids and don't worry about it. And she said, but it crosses my mind. And she's pissed. She was pissed that attorney got a lot of money out of the divorce. And my takeaway was, she was aggrieved on two fronts. The guy doing what he did, and then she didn't think she got a fair share of the split. The attorney got most of the money, and I said, that's divorce. It just, nobody wins.
Yeah. That's part of the game, you know.
Yeah, everybody wins. We have the TV downstairs is like 65 inches. I mean, it's huge, and her face.
Yeah, it's kind of just right there.
It's just looking at me. I started. I was screaming. My friend said, "You don't wake the baby up." I'm like, I don't care. You're not gonna believe this. Yeah, it was jolting. Yeah, and it's sad. I walked away from that thinking that, but very lovely woman, very jovial. She was nice. She was funny. We were laughing. The smile never left her face. I mean, she was just smiling. Nice woman.
Did you notice if she was wearing like a patch or anything on her arm?
Definitely a short sleeve. She was absolutely wearing a short sleeve. I don't recall a patch. It may have been one, but I don't recall.
See how she's wearing one in that picture?
I think I saw that. I think I saw something like that. I think I did. Oh, you know what's funny too about this picture? That's exactly what's funny about it. You see this top? Mm-hmm. You see how it's cut in the shoulder?
Yeah.
That's exactly how the one she was wearing that night was.
Oh, that's Steve's style?
That's right.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
That's exactly how it was. Different color though. Not black.
Okay.
It wasn't black. Okay. It was not black. I may have seen that, but I can't say with 100% certainty. Yeah. But the style of the blouse is exactly the same. And the blouse had at the end, I don't know how to describe this. You know how at the bottom of women's blouses it will be like elastic?
Oh yeah.
That will make it like so.
Almost like a sack type.
Yeah, that will make it like come up like this. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, her friend was definitely there, visiting from North Carolina. 100%.
All right.
Well, I think if you can find that friend, have you guys ever been? I mean, if you can find that friend, it could really help.
Yeah. We'll work on finding out who that is.
Yeah, she was visiting from North Carolina.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure we could probably nail that one down.
Yeah. She was here with her, and we left them. We went straight to the car. We went to the car right here. I want to say they went that way.
Yeah. Remember if she took any phone calls or texts during the dinner?
No. They didn't take any. No. It was nobody took any calls.
I was just so impressed with her doing Facebook Live and the way she did it and the way she had become such an encourager. I just gave her a big how much I'm proud of her on the Facebook Live message.
You were her teacher at 14 years old. You described a very different person. Who was she then?
Yes, you'd be amazed at how far she's come. She's a wonderful, beautiful human being who learned that the power of giving your life away, I think, brings true joy. She was a very insecure young lady who didn't have a lot of friends when I met her at 14 years old. But she was brave enough to sign up for beginning acting, and I think that's where she made a big mistake.
Well, tell me about that.
Well, we had a lot of kids took theater in 9th grade, but right away when she got in there, she realized immediately that we are all about ensemble. I even made sure people understood I wasn't the most important person in the room. The ensemble is the most important thing, and looking at other people as bigger than yourself is how you can succeed in theater. So when she came in, she realized she was with a group of people that were much more outgoing than she was at the time, but she also realized that they cared about her and were just as interested in her succeeding. I think she started to really thrive and started to even give her life away.
The person you're describing, it's so different than the person who we see on Facebook. I mean, she just seemed so confident, and yet you say she spent a lot of time in your office looking for advice. She was teased a lot. She had a low self-image.
Yes, her self-esteem was low. She did not have a good self-image of herself at 14 years old. And I want to make it very clear, like, I don't take I don't take any credit for it at all. All I did was really herd Shanna Ann, and I joked with her all the time. Her name was, Shanna Ann, because it was a very
Yeah, you know what?
thing.
Tell us that, because a lot of people have made sort of a lot of, I guess, theories about the pronunciation of her name. At her memorial, the program at the church spelled her name with the proper spelling, SHAN apostrophe ANN. And how did she pronounce it when she was at school?
Well, here's what I'll say, because ever since I knew her, it was always Shanna Ann, and I'd break it up into 2 syllables and 2 separate things, So that's how I've always known it and joked with her, and she never corrected me in 3 years of being with me. But I don't want to. I mean, she could have changed the way she wanted it pronounced later in life, so I certainly don't want to step on that.
Let me ask you this, Matt. The reason we found out about you at all was because you found something after you attended her funeral, a letter that Shanann had written to you. You were leaving Pinecrest in 2002. So I just wanted you to know that I am going to miss you dearly. You are truly something special to me. You have always been there for me and have been very helpful. You helped bring out the true person in me back in 9th grade, and I can't thank you enough for that. Not only have you been there for me as a friend, but you have also been like a father figure to me. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for being a wonderful teacher and friend. I will never forget you. Love always.
The Shanna Ann that we just described in 9th grade and the Shanna Ann that she became before I left, she became a rock for me. She learned that giving her life away meant so much more, and she became like a stage manager and a production person. Adam Goodrum was our tech director, and she was always there to help with the tech crew, but she'd also work amazingly with the actors. She just learned, she had a level of empathy like a lot of people today just don't. So to find out that this happened to her, I mean, I still don't believe it's true. It's so mind-boggling, because she's really truly one of the good ones, one of the amazing ones who really saw hurting people out there. On top of it, as a father and a husband, someone who would betray that trust to protect those little babies and that wife, and to see it happen to her of all people. And then there was this little card from Shanna Ann, and it was one of the first things that I opened and read. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was such a treasure, and it just reminded me of how far she'd come. And my hope is, honestly, I love what the family's doing, and I want to make sure we highlight that. Shine like Shanna Ann. # shine like Shanna Ann, because that woman, in her light and legacy, she did enough in her short amount of time to affect people's lives for a long time to come, I think.
I just can't believe that he did it.
Story of Chris and Shanann Watts. It wasn't over. In fact, it was just starting to unfold. And I have a suspicion that made some people really nervous. Was she a hero in this story? Is it possible, like Shanann's parents believe to this day, that she tried to help Chris? When it all started hitting the wall, she got scared and bailed. She was never arrested or charged. Is there more than meets the eye with Nicole? Sure, she had been helping police. It seemed like she was on their side, not her lovers. She told them Chris had confided in her that he was no longer in love. But investigators, not the prosecutors, but the investigators, well, they weren't quite done. After all this, they went back in to interview him again, one more time from prison. So what was their reason for this additional question? They got everything they can get, right? So why talk to him again? Well, we don't know for sure, but we do know that it would not make sense for them to be talking to him about further culpability on his part. He pleaded guilty. They had recovered the bodies. Shannann's parents had a theory. They strongly believe the reason the FBI went into that prison was because of none other than Mistress Nicole. Shannann's mother claims she believes investigators went in on a mission to get Chris to roll on his mistress. He did not, at least not yet.
One of the things that's kind of left me scratching my head about this case is that anybody that would play fast and loose with their marriage, I'm still thinking that the police are entertaining the thought that there could be other parties involved. You have to at least explore that. And so that brings us to this issue of individualization of evidence. And one of the things that we go to now, particularly, is DNA sample. And I want to know, we've heard the term cohabitating, that these people are living in this dwelling together, they're domiciled there. But is there some kind of outlier that is coming into this home that may have had contact that helped facilitate some of these events that's not part of the familial unit? So that's something that we would want to take a look at.
Boy, that lady at work's probably shaking in her boots right now if that's the case, because if she were ever in that marital bed and there's any DNA to prove it, that just puts her square in the middle of a murder trial, doesn't it? But
Media had reached out to Chris's friends and even his college roommate for his insight into who Chris was.
When I knew him, he was straight as an arrow. He was very dedicated to school. He was very dedicated to his work. I believe that one of his ex-high school teachers even said, he was at most likely to succeed, and he was. He wasn't the kind of guy that went out and partied all the time. A lot of the guys did. They went out every single night, and Chris was not like that. He was more, all right, this is school, this is my future, this is what I'm going to do. And he worked hard at it. He graduated with honors and everything. So it is very strange to see someone like him somehow transform into what we see today. There was never anything in his past that would have alerted me in any way, shape, or form to this kind of behavior. A lot of my fellow classmates, we've all started talking, and we're all on the same page. No one gets it. Everyone is kind of like, this came from left field. This isn't who we knew. We don't know his makeup. That's how it makes me feel. It's very confusing, and it's very inquisiting as to what could have caused Chris to go from the person who I knew to this person that we've seen. After we finished school, we both worked together at the same dealership. We were buddies, but we weren't like great friends, so we just eventually lost communication. The last time we spoke to each other was probably around 2005. I would say out of everyone in the group, I was probably the most connected to Watts. We had a little clique when we all went to school, a small group that we kind of all hung out with. But out of everybody, I was probably the person who was most, I guess, bonded to him, if that's the proper way of wording it. So no, once we all left school, it's not like we just didn't care about each other, but just over time, I only kept in touch with a very select few. So Chris was quiet. He was pretty reserved, but not in what I would say a negative fashion. He was not the kind of guy who's just going to walk up to you and introduce himself and try to make friends. He was more the kind of guy who you'd become friends with out of happenstance. We were obviously friends because we were in classes together, and that's how we ended up meeting. He very, very rarely went out with us. So maybe that contributed to it. He wasn't as tight-knit with anybody else, but he was pretty shy, very reserved, like I said, very dedicated to what he was doing at the time and very hard on himself. He wanted to get those good grades. He wanted to do well, so he would never do anything that would jeopardize that, like partying or going out drinking like some of the others may have. He was very strict. He would go to school in the mornings. When he got off, he would go to the dealership and he would work. And then after that, it was either study time. For leisure, he would watch either TV and sports. He was real big into NASCAR, obviously. He was very physically fit, when we were going to school together. I know that some of the video I'd seen, he had kind of dropped off a little bit and it got physically fit again. But back when he was with us, he was, pretty beefed up, worked out pretty consistently, and that's all he did. Like I said, the party life was not for him. It was all about school and doing well. I cannot remember a single solitary incident where he was ever trying to actively engage in any kind of relationship. He was very kept to himself, very focused on what he did, and that was pretty much it. He never brought anybody over. He definitely wasn't sneaking out, and going and meeting anybody. So no, back then, it was just him. It was just him and what he was engaged in, and that was his school and his work. He was very good at what he did. He was very good at working on cars. That was one of his natural talents. So it wasn't like that, but I think he was more of a perfectionist. I think that he was very, very focused on getting as good as the grade as he could. And so he just focused on that. But on the same coin, I think it was more of that reserved personality that kind of prevented him from just going out and meeting people. He very rarely went out with us, when we went out.
Richard, if he did go out, what was he like?
Social with us. but not anyone else. You know, like I said, he wasn't the kind of guy that's just going to walk up and introduce himself and be like, hey, I'm Chris Watts. You know, when he knew you and he was friends with you like he was with us, he was a lot more laid back. You know, he'd crack up a laugh with you and everything like normal, you know, nothing out of the ordinary. But he wasn't he probably didn't like large groups. I would say he probably wasn't a big fan of large groups. That's probably why he didn't go to a lot of the house parties and things like that. He eventually did, as the school year was coming to an end and we were graduating, he did go to a house party. But even then, he was just having a good time, but not trying to actively engage with people he just didn't know.
Yet, were there all sorts of women interested in him?
If there were, I didn't know. There were a few at the school, but nothing that I would have been aware of. No, he was pretty strict. He had his routine, and that's what he stuck to. I wouldn't say he was impulsive or anything like that. In terms of his attitude, he would maybe get down on himself once in a while, but I think that was more of him pushing himself to do better in school. It was never like anger towards anything. I can't even remember him ever being mad about anything. He just wasn't that kind of guy. He was very mellow. If you watch like his interview and he's kind of like emotionless a little bit, that was Chris. So that's just how he was.
None of it makes sense. And
since signing the plea deal stopped the investigative clock, many questions still remain. Why did Nicole Kessinger need her mother to send her money for new shoes the week of the murders? We know that the polygraph didn't ask any questions specific to the children. In fact, their names weren't even mentioned. So why does it say in the discovery files under the CBI notes by Tammy Lee, the polygraph was in reference to Watts' possible involvement or knowledge in the disappearance of his pregnant wife Shanann Watts and their 2 young daughters, Bella and Celeste, when only Shanann was asked about on the polygraph? Why on the very night that Chris was arrested were reporters reporting on Twitter that they were told by 2 law enforcement officials with knowledge of the investigation that the husband of the missing Frederick family has confessed to killing them and officials believe they know where the bodies are, when that wasn't Chris's initial confession? In fact, we see here in the affidavit that Shanann's death was a result of Chris's reaction to her killing the children. In the prison interview, Chris is asked about the technique used on him that did blame Shanann for the children's death.
Honestly, I never even thought about the story until you guys mentioned it. I never even thought about it until you guys mentioned it. It's like I just went with it. I didn't, I knew my dad was out there. I knew it was I knew they would probably believe it because, my mom and my sister just never really liked Shanann. Through all this, I got letters from some of my friends that even said, when we went over to your house, we could see, Shanann was more of a dominant personality and more of hey, you're always helping with the kids and everything. You just, you're a great dad and everything. We could see, a couple things that I never saw or, whatnot. And even my best friend Mark can say, there's always, something, I didn't really get with Shanann. I was like, nobody ever told me any of this stuff, but okay. But yeah, I never thought about that story. And, that's what my attorneys were going with. And then, I think it was probably the second week I told them, what had really happened. I didn't want them, anybody had to trash her memory. I wanted, them to know, she's, she's a loving wife, she's beautiful, she always helped everybody else, all her friends, her religious friends, everybody. I just wanted, I didn't want anybody to take away from what she did.
We also learned in the discovery files that Shanann's shallow grave was previously found the day prior by the drone footage. So using the Reed technique on Chris wasn't a last resort to find out where the bodies were. They already knew where they were. And the Dr. Phil deleted episode verifies that as well.
A drone search located a lone bedsheet on the oilfield property. This aerial discovery was what initially led police to finding the bodies of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste.
More questions linger as we dig through the discovery files and the police interviews. Was the gray truck that the neighbor Betty saw that day the same gray truck that was linked to an LLC that Nicole Kessinger owned?
Very quiet family. They moved in just before I did 5 years ago. In fact, before the children were even born.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw the father. When did I see Dad? The end of last week, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah, I was asking him about the lawn, because my lawn has started to die, and, what are you doing to keep your lawn green? He told me. I would never have known. Geez, that's scary. Mom and Dad used to live over there, too, with them.
Okay. When was the last time you saw Mom?
That could have been maybe 3 weeks ago in the backyard.
Okay.
I never hear any noises. They have a little dog. I hardly ever see any lights on.
Okay. Anything different over the last, 2 days, 3 days? Odd vehicles, odd noises, odd lights?
There was a truck out here yesterday. In fact, that's why I thought you were here yesterday. Maybe someone complained about that I hadn't seen before.
What type of truck?
It was kind of almost a steel gray.
Okay.
Don't ask me, make.
Okay.
Year. But that was late afternoon. The Dad has a great big truck, and it's gray. But this one was smaller.
Okay.
This one was smaller.
Then,
But I hadn't seen it before, so I...
any markings or stickers or anything that would be weird? You wouldn't by a chance remember if the plate was green or red or...
No, I kind of just glance. I don't
glanced
pay
at
any attention because I believe he owns his own business or something because he always has a truck parked there, so kind of...
I gotcha.
I just kind of noticed it wasn't the normal truck.
Was it dirty by any means?
No, it wasn't. And it couldn't have been that old.
Okay. How long was the truck sitting there?
I saw it yesterday morning around 5:15 a.m. because I go to the gym then.
Okay.
It was still there when I got back at 6:45, and then it was there around, I think, noontime.
Digging through some of the tips in the discovery files, we have to wonder whose suspicious truck was seen near the Watts home at 1:30 in the morning that morning. The tip states, Virginia called to report suspicious white truck seen near Highway 52 at WCR 3.5 at 1:30 hours on Monday morning. No identifying information on vehicle, just white truck. Even more alarming, we have a neighbor who called in. Around 1 in the morning that morning, they heard a gunshot or a loud car backfired, concerned her enough to take a picture of the clock. I took it upon myself to contact this neighbor who called this tip in. They told me, I don't remember the exact time, sometime in the middle of the night I took a screenshot of the time in case I needed to know, but I don't have it anymore. It is not common here, that's why I called. This is a great quiet neighborhood. I asked them if they had called 911 right then and there, and they told me, no, I waited. I called when I found out that lady and her children were missing. And what's more troubling is on the neighborhood walk with the dog when they were searching for Shanann and the girls, they stumble upon a few shell casings and a cylinder for a gun.
Jeff said the scent from the house is over here. Picking up the scent from the house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I said, I don't know why you do this. She went away from the house is over here. They discovered that.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, all these back in here are pretty fancy.
33 years in my retirement. Here's another one. Washer sleeve.
Uh-oh.
They almost look like 22 gallery.
Yeah, they sure do. That's why it caught my attention.
22 gallery. In the ear. No, it's not a 22. It's a, this is a 32 round. The next size up 17. There's the other one right there.
Yeah, there's another one by your right foot. I don't know if that's going to be related to anything under the sun at all.
No, but you know what? Is that a cylinder?
Looks like it.
Where?
more. That was 3. Just the one over there.
Was there a firing pin mark on that, or had they not been fired?
I didn't see one on that first one. I didn't look closely at the others. It doesn't look like it.
Nope, has not been fired. Nope, see, it's close.
Yep, it's that Black Mesa and Goldfield.
And they love that.
I'd do anything for those girls. I'd step in front of a bullet for the train for those girls.
Since Chris has been in prison, numerous inmates have come out speaking how they feel there's more to this story. David Carter, a former inmate of Chris, even called CBI and voiced his concerns about what Chris had told him in prison. Ultimately, it led to nowhere, and it seems as though CBI spent more time investigating Trent Bolt than they did other avenues.
Okay. We're going to try and see if there's a possibility we could come out and chat with you and possibly do a polygraph. Okay. Just so we can, show that it's legit.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. So if you have any other, if anyone contacts you or if you have any questions, you can text me or give me a shout. But otherwise, I'll probably just give you a shout next week and after we have more time to go through some records and see what we can find.
Okay.
Okay.
That works.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
My daddy is a hero. He helps me grow up strong. He helped me snuggle too. He reads me books. He ties my shoes. If you're a hero, blue and blue, my daddy, I love you.
Of the things that have been hard for the Rusiks to comprehend and to accept in this reality, what happened to Bella in those last moments have been the hardest.
Attention Dave Baumhover. In 2009, Shanann built her house in Charlotte, North Carolina, battling her lupus. Her friend told her about her cousin Chris, saying he is a very nice guy, quiet, etc. So Shanann got a request from him on Facebook. Months later, she called me saying, "Mom, I met a nice guy. He is a mechanic." I said, "As long as you're happy and he is good to you." A few months after that, Shanann and Chris had a family gathering, and Frank and I and his parents had a cookout. They were floored when they saw her house. Shanann was a hard worker and wanted this to eventually sell and make a profit to keep doing so, eventually be mortgage free. Comes from a family of contractors. So Shanann was eager to please his parents, waiting on them hand and foot. When Shanann left the back porch and it was just me and Chris's mom, she leaned over to me and said, "Shanann was married before?" I said, "Yes, just like your daughter was." Then a while later again, when we were alone, and she said, "I just don't see it." I said, "What?" She said, "I don't feel or see that your daughter loves my son." I knew she was going to be a thorn in the marriage because my mother-in-law was the same way. So every time we had cookouts, his mother and sister were very quiet and distant, and we weren't accepted. They made that known. So forward to engagement party, Shanann and I shopped for food, wine, etc., spent a lot. Jamie, Chris's sister, wanted all the invitations so she could help. So Shanann told me, "Mom, Jamie wants to help and send the invitations. What do you think? She is accepting me. I'm gonna let her do it." So this mom and sister prepped food and cross-contaminated everything, so Shanann couldn't eat any of it. Gluten-free, nothing. Everything was made with gluten. So thank God I made lots of food. I brought at least my daughter could eat. So as the night went on, Shanann and I went to the bathroom, and Shanann told me, "Mom, I had like 80 invites and only immediate family came." So Shanann called people the next day to learn that they never received an invite. Shanann was devastated. Shanann and Chris were upset, so they knew not to ask again. Then came the wedding. No one from his whole family came, just his grandmother and uncle. No mom, no dad, sisters, aunts, and cousins, no one came. Chris spoiled Shanann and vice versa. They were so in love. They were a great team. They moved to Colorado and lived with Shanann's friend for 1 year. While they were building their house, everything was great. Shanann saw something on Chris's private parts that didn't look normal. They went to the doctors, cancer, so it was removed. She saved his life. Then Shanann got pregnant with Bella Marie. Everyone was so excited and happy. Shanann and Chris were wonderful parents. Chris and Shanann were working at the Ford dealership in Longmont. Shanann was selling cars. Chris was the head mechanic, a great team. Shanann was top sales. Then Bella came, so Shanann stopped working because of a high-risk pregnancy. She was a trooper, though, the whole thing. Both families seemed happy. Chris's sister never flew to Colorado at any time they were out there. Cindy and Ronnie came 2 times a year. Shanann worked at the Children's Hospital at nights and also sold 31 bags, traveling bags on the side. Everything was good. Shanann got pregnant with Celeste, and pregnancy was really rough on Shanann with her lupus. Very high-risk pregnancy again, but only this one was worse for Shanann. Water, weight gain, severe back pain, shortness of breath, pains in her chest, fatigue, exhaustion. My husband and I sold everything but our house and moved out to live with them, to help our daughter in every way we could. Frank and I had to work to pay our bills too. We were there for 15 months. Chris's mom came out to watch the girls for a few days while Shanann and Chris went on a business trip with Lavelle, her company. 4 nights and 5 days. During that time, we weren't allowed to see our grandchildren or even eat dinner with them as soon as we got home. She brought them upstairs and stayed upstairs. She wouldn't let us hold them or anything. I found that very odd. One day I asked her why. She said, "What the hell am I here for then?" She screamed in my face in front of our grandkids and said that I was very controlling. I was just like, wow. I texted Shanann over and over again, and she said, "Relax, Mom. I'll take care of it when I get home." It was ridiculous. I never spoke to Chris's mom again. I had enough. After 15 months, I moved back home. It was very hard to leave, but I felt it was for the best. I have been home now. 17 months later, my whole family is dead. My beautiful daughter, my beautiful grandchildren, all dead. Everything seemed fine. Our daughter never spoke about anything bad. She did speak to us about bankruptcy, a lot of debt, with all the medical bills. Bella and Celeste were back and forth to doctors, misdiagnosed for 2 years. I told Shanann that they had asthma and that she needed to fire that doctor. One day she went in and the PA was there and she diagnosed them with asthma. Finally, the girls were doing great, other than earplugs put in, and girls being very allergic to tree nuts, which would have caused them death. Celeste was born with her esophagus too small. They went in 3 times to enlarge it, steroids like crazy to help her breathe for 1.5 years or longer, all until they were diagnosed with asthma. Then Shanann with her neck surgery, which out of pocket $25,000 they owed. So that's why there was so much debt. I noticed that when we would FaceTime every night for 4 years straight, looking back, starting late May 2018, when we FaceTimed, Chris was putting the phone all over the room, ceiling, floor, etc. I said, "Chris, are you all right?" Then he would FaceTime normally. Before Shanann came to North Carolina, Celeste had a rash in her private area, and she went to get a face cloth and some cream. Chris had the phone. I said, "Chris, let me see how bad it is," being that I am an aide. So I still couldn't see, so I said, "Wait, let me move my screen," because I couldn't see. He put it right on her privates. Oh, I was mad. Shanann wanted to come for 6 weeks this summer so she can introduce the girls to Chris's sister Jamie, who never met Celeste or Uncle Frankie, our son, before the year started, back to school, dance classes, etc. The best time was now. We were thrilled. Shanann stayed the week here, then weekends with Chris's parents. The first weekend was great with Chris's dad and family. However, the following weekend was a different story. Saturday was rough for Shanann. She was protecting her children from peanuts in every form. Ice cream, a bowl of nuts, open razor blades just laying around the house. Shanann called her father, "Come pick me up now, please." Shanann said Cindy was trying to give the kids ice cream with peanut chips in it. Shanann asked Cindy, "What kind of ice cream is that?" Cindy said, "Oh, relax, it's just ice cream." Shanann said, "Please let me read the ingredients." Cindy told my daughter that she was scary, so the girls walked outside to play with Jamie. Chris's sister. So after Shanann got done explaining to Cindy how dangerous peanut allergy is to the girls, Cindy ignoring Shanann went outside. Jamie walked in, so the girls walked back in as Shanann walked in the kitchen. Noticed a large bowl of peanuts now sitting on the table. That wasn't there 2 minutes before, so Shanann called me and explained everything. She said, "Mom, I'm being double teamed." And I said, "What?" She told me everything. But when she told me about the razor blades, I said, "What?" She changed the subject really quick because my daughter knows I would have been there and caused a big scene. I love my family. I said, "Dad's on his way." She got home here and was beside herself. I was furious along with her that someone that you trust would try to get a child sick or die feeding them peanuts. Razor blades? Shanann told 4 people this: me, Frank, Sandra, and Nikki. She called Chris that night and she was so upset. Chris said he will handle it, so Shanann didn't ever go back again to see them. None of Chris's family came to Cece's birthday party, and Cindy sent Cece's package out to Colorado, which is still there in the box at the house. So Shanann and the girls and us had a wonderful time the rest of their trip. When Chris came here for his week here and Shanann's 6 weeks here, Shanann picked him up at the airport with the girls. They were so excited to see their dad. They set off the alarm from running up to him. Chris spent the day with his parents and Shanann dropped him off at the nursing home to see his grandma. Shanann and the girls came back here. Chris was acting really weird to Shanann. He didn't have time to speak to her. And then he was going to stay because we had a storm with no street lights working. Chris's dad brought him back here to our home. Shanann and Chris spoke on our back porch for a few hours about how he has been and the peanut stuff in his mom's house. Chris was distant to Shanann, okay with the girls, okay with us. Shanann was vomiting all night and Chris didn't get up to see how it was. This was his wife. They left for Myrtle Beach and Frank went with them for a couple of days. Being that it was our granddaughter's first time at the beach, Frank left them. I came a day and a half and the girls and I had a blast. Chris was very quiet, doing his own thing and ignoring Shanann. I said to my daughter, "Is everything okay?" She said, "Yes, Chris is Chris." So we were at the beach and we went to dinner and Chris drove Shanann and the girls. I had to drive behind them. I was doing 83 miles an hour to catch up with them, texting Shanann, "Why is he driving like that? Tell him to slow down. I am not in a race to go to dinner." At dinner, Chris left the table quite a few times, very silent. He was ignoring his kids and wife. Cece was being funny, and he walked away again. I left the next day. They came 2 days later. I asked Shanann to stay here with the girls. She said Chris had good insurance for the girls. They went back to Colorado. I'm devastated. P.S. The only reason Chris got fit was because diabetes runs high in his family, and Shanann wanted him to live forever.
Move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I have to move it, move it. I have to move it, move it. I have to move it, move it.
The first night when they found Shannon's body, I'm going to be honest with you, Dr. Phil. I was laying in the bed weeping so hard, talking to God, and I said, you know, I could just end my life now and go find my daughter. I had fallen asleep. The next morning, I get a phone call and they found Shannon's body. I said, "Do you want me to identify her on the phone?" And he said, "Yeah, you could do that." And I said, "Is she beautiful?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Does she have black hair?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Then you have my daughter." That night, I was laying in bed and I just felt a presence and I heard my daughter. I felt her and I heard her say, "I love you, Mommy, and I'm sorry." She told me she was at peace. I finally fell asleep with my daughter at my presence and she slept with me. I just felt her. The following day, I get a phone call and they said, "Sandy, we found your granddaughter, but we're not sure which one." And I said, "Bella's a little taller. She's pretty slimmer. She don't get a little belly. And if you pull her hair up a little bit, because I do their hair, and it would be so long, you know." And then I realized all the oil, they would never know. So they said, "Who's the one that wears a pull-up?" And I said, "That would be Cece." they said, well, then we have CC. And I said, well, keep going. I said, find my Bella. And 2 hours later, they did. It was at the bottom of the drum. Everybody needed so much therapy after that. Our hearts just go out to all of them that work so damn hard on this case.
It's 9 o'clock, and as you can see, the sun is shining. I'll show you guys over here a little bit. You can see the mountains a little bit. It's a little cleared. There's a balloon over there. I'm surprised there's no hot air balloons today. There will be tomorrow because they usually come on Sundays. So they're gonna be building right there, but we'll still have our view, which I love. And Chris cut the grass yesterday. Thank goodness, I needed it. So here's my view, and they're gonna have a park right there. So that open space right there is gonna be a park for the kids. Another one. We have like several in the neighborhood. So, all right, everybody, have an amazing day, and I love you all. Bye, guys.